even like
Why doesn't Manikai tell us what we were doing?
oh yeah, it was yesterday.
Last time we were on the island of the dragon. Predictably, that was the island where we would face the dragon. We had made our way through the maze and sort of gotten close, and pretty much started by jumping into it. We charged in, fought a dragon, defeated the dragon, learned the pain of elven archery. A terrible, terrible thing. And then, yeah, we moved on. The battle was tough, but having prepared for it as much as we could with potions and heroism and bless and strength potions and whatnot, and Dima's wielding his legendary weapon, it went fairly okay. There was no casualties amongst us, and Demos managed to successfully save his mother, Ophelia, who, after being cold with Pythor at first, decided that they needed some time to talk and get to know each other, because it's been, Dima's whole life since they saw each other. That's sort of the short version. The elves of all the island might not believe that the dragon is dead at first. It might take them a while, so we shouldn't count on them being able to help us anytime soon. Though in time they will probably come around to the idea that, they can be free. Thus we decided to leave sort of post haste. Now moving towards the goal of killing the Titans before our time limit runs out, and then go celebrate in Mitros. Job well done, and I mean that's really going to be the end of everything, right? That's the trouble's done. The prophecy will have been completed when we face the Titans, and yeah. Currently, we are heading towards Lutheria with the idea of taking her out first, her being the greater evil of the two Titans, and the one that sort of seems to have wiggled her way out of death last time. That said, we also have the secret knowledge given by the Sphinx. We know that Sidon formed Lutheria's madness into an armor. But we don't know what that means exactly. We should definitely be wary of it, because it was the knowledge that the Titans would least like us to have.
Yes, on top of that, a bit of a recap help. Lutheria's, home, so to speak, isn't stationary. It is, in fact, a barge floating through the Never Sea, although you do have a rough idea where you might encounter said barge, as Hazabel knew a thing or two, although it's not guaranteed that you will find her there like this exact moment. There might be a few days of waiting for her to show up, something along those lines. It is 15 days till the Oath of Peace expires, as far as Sarah's document is to be believed, that I too use for time tracking. So, yeah, it's worth considering. I believe another location that was discussed as a potential target last time was, which constellation is it?
The tree one, right?
The constellation of the Heart, number 3.
Yes, we talked about going there too. Should you go there first?
Yeah, I don't think we're quite ready to take on Lutheria. And I also remember some talk of dropping your mother off in Mitros.
Yeah, do we have the time?
I don't think so, but I also understand if Demos wants to bring her home.
Yeah, Pythor wanted to be home too.
Yeah, it's a bad thing for him to be ready to defend the city now that he's sober, or at least trying to be. He's in recovery.
Let's take him home.
Yeah, Pythor has in the past suggested that, while it would of course be preferable to kill both Titans before the Oath of Peace expires, because They are most definitely planning an attack where innocents will get in the line of fire. But in the end, Mitros is a fortress. It's not only that, there's the Mitrosian soldiers, there are plenty of allies you could call for help in that particular battle. And it's also going to be a battle after the Oath of Peace expires, which means he himself could assist, which he can't right now. Although, on the other hand, of course, fighting in a populated city with the Titans having their armies by their side is probably actually really bad, depending on which of the five you ask.
Well, we're
Could
heroes. We're not going to rely on civilians to fight for us.
the two alternatives we have, or we could just have them stay on the boat, and if there's another time we need to go to Mitros, then we just wait for that. Or perhaps Valis could teleport Pythor back to her. That doesn't solve the problem for your mom, but
Let's transport them there.
okay.
It's too risky to have Pythor here when he can't actually defend himself against the Titans yet.
Yeah. I just remembered that we also got into a bit of a fight last time, and that Darius is not participating in group decisions. So you decide.
All right, let's go to Mitros. I mean,
Yeah.
how
I'm
much
not gonna
time do
mind
we
that.
have?
How much time? You have 15 days.
Before the end
Okay,
of
that's decent. That's pretty good. So we could go back. We could sail past the Heart and then go to Mitros afterwards, and then go to the sea. But
well, you could always do the other way around. It doesn't. I mean, it depends. Do you want to? I think time-wise, it doesn't matter. Depends on the story, I guess. Do we want Ophelia to get home, or drag her to another island with us?
She
it's like
has
a
been
couple days.
for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not like her home's gonna remember her.
No.
It's a unwise decision, but in character, I just can't. Like, it would be so sad for her to just be stuck on a boat after
Well-
all she's been through.
What does she want? If we ask.
Yeah.
She'll blink at the question a bit, as if she hadn't even considered that she wants to go anywhere really. It's been a while since she had any say in the matter. As far as she is concerned, any place that is not the island of the dragon is perfectly fine by her. Just somewhere else.
Oh, she don't know what you're talking about.
You know, maybe to father's hometown would be a choice. Don't have to stay in Mitros. It's likely to become a battlefield. So, let's say. But no, we should definitely bring them back. Having Pythor in the defense of the city, well, that'll give Demos at least some rest. Well, some ability to relax more about the whole thing while we go deal with the Titans. There will be a last line of defense, and we won't have to rely entirely on Acastus and his Dragon Knights.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But here are no arguments, so
All right. 2 Mitros it is then.
we have gone back and forth there quite a bit. But then again, I mean,
Then, as usual, I would like one of you to roll the d20.
Can I make a check for book stuff?
You can, as we've discussed.
Today, and then the first day travel, and then the second day travel. I'll just roll them as they
1d20?
come up. If that's fine with you.
A d20, go for it, Derry.
No.
Oh.
A 1. That actually just means that nothing happens.
Oh.
Like 11 plus something happened.
Yeah, basically. As you cross the Forgotten Sea, entering the much more calm Cerulean Gulf. I suppose Ariad in the crow's nest, perhaps looking around, would think that maybe she spots some ships on the horizon. Briefly, sort of, slowly going in the same direction as you are. But they are quickly lost behind the sheer speed of the Ultras.
She'll frown. And who is stirring the ship? Is it Dimas? Is he?
It usually is, yeah.
Yeah.
The ship
Oh.
doesn't listen to anyone else.
Yeah. Fly down and tell him I'm not 100% certain, but I do think that I saw other ships sailing in this direction.
What ships?
I couldn't tell. But I don't know that. I can't think of many reasons that a lot of ships should be sailing to Mitros suddenly at this exact time.
The enemy fleet is gathering. They're preparing to strike on the day the Oath of Peace ends.
I think so.
When we sail back, if we see Cyclopean ships, perhaps we could give this arcane cannon a try. The Ultras should be able to best any of them.
Well, especially with us on board.
Yeah. For now, though, we shouldn't waste time. If we can defeat the Titans, then maybe they will stand down.
Yes. Well, I'll she like has smiles. Like I'll keep watch in the crow's nest, because that's not really why she's there. But sounds very official.
Appreciate your service.
She like plays salutes and flies up again. Russell
less
feathers.
humans.
Yeah, lookout's a real thing,
Hair
important.
blowing in the wind, looking out over the ship, his crew, his friends, his allies. Soon, in just 2 weeks, destiny will have been done, and we will have our rewards.
A barbecue.
A great barbecue, summer cookout.
Maybe another Olympic Games can be held,
Oh.
As Demos is looking out over everyone, I think he would clock that Darius, when he's playing the harp, is also kind of doing like sea shanties and trying to keep the morale up of the like crew below. He's doing the bare minimum required to keep the winds flowing in our favor, just sort of playing it to himself.
Well, Darius has been acting weird lately. Certainly is true.
Mhm.
Also notice it, and I think he. I'll roll an insight check here. He notices and see if he catches on to anything
Sure.
going on. Sort of a way of deciding whether he's insightful enough to. Oh, well, natural 20. What's up?
He seems to be pretty upset about the confrontation yesterday regarding the detect thoughts, and it seems like he's very begrudging about even coming up to do the harp at all.
Mm-hmm.
Is very reluctantly doing it.
How many days of sailing is there till Mitros? It's like 3, right?
It's 3 if we don't have the harp, 2 if we have the harp.
Okay, good. This is the first day.
This is the first day. Yeah.
It's afternoon, like you see probably the sun lowering at this point of the first day.
He was gonna just leave Darius to be for today. He sees it, and he is surprisingly insightful about this situation. So I think he will see it and just think that maybe there'll be a talk about that, but that'll be tomorrow, if nothing else. This is still too new to
Mhm.
clear. But before we reach Metros, we'll see if he can find a chance to speak to Darius.
Then day 2, leaving
Hey, though,
the ever stormy Forgotten Sea behind you.
Deimos's good mood is not harmed by this by Darius's gloom. He can't help it.
Good.
He's literally done what I mean. He did it, right? The thing he was born to do is done right here on this boat. Did all of it. His destiny is complete. And, she actually is my destiny complete?
You've done everything you set out to do on the epic path. Yes,
All right, good, cool.
it's perhaps not as much of an explosive celebration as Demos might have once considered, but he can definitely spot Pythor as well as his mother just having quiet talks in the corner, as both of them certainly seem to have a lot of things to talk about, but the talks do seem pleasant. Both just sort of gazing at each other. Well, contentness, really. The sailors of the Ultras, well, initially it was just business as usual, one terrifying threat that they only saw from a distance, worrying that it might come to the Ultras to do things to them that they can't do anything about. Now that it's a day away, the mood is shooting upwards for sure. They don't straight up like throw a party or anything, but they perhaps test the mood of Demos on occasion, like offering a drink and like offering opportunities for him to recount the tale of when he faced the dragon, things like that. And if he commits to telling the stories and such, it's gonna be a night where not much done gets on the ship.
He'll tell the story. He's not really a great storyteller because he focuses on certain bits far more than their actual relevance in the story. He's not really a skilled storyteller. He tells stories like someone, you know, most of his stories don't get the right effect because it's kind of like you should have been, you know. That's sometimes how it ends when he sees he doesn't get the right effect. But here it seems like the audience is really happy to listen to whatever he says. It's probably going to be great. He just hype them up, and then, yeah, talk. He enjoys that.
He's like better at like a sports setting, so it's like, yeah, come on, ah! So, and then
I looked into the eye of the worm, and I said, "Well, no matter what I said, you know."
yeah.
But I charged it with my spear and drove it into its heart. Yeah, it's like his retelling is fantastical, sort of a snapshot retelling of the some of the moments that happened in that duel, right? And maybe even some of the ones that now look like the way he imagined that they would from the outside. Not because he wants to deceive anyone, just because that's how he remembers it. It was really rather a whirl, and he felt so powerful at that moment. Not just because of the strength potion. That sort of actually made him powerful.
No matter the quality of his recounting of that, the sailors are just, now that they realize that Demos 2 thinks it was a great accomplishment, they absolutely agree that it was a great accomplishment. And will party accordingly.
Demas likes to think that he has a strong sort of sense of self and self-worth and such. But if people were like, "Hey man, that's no big deal. Calm down," he would actually be kind of mad. Like he wouldn't take an annoyed and angry audience very well, I don't think. He's not used to it. Get flustered. So yeah, it's good. They're all this is what he was used to when he grew up, right? Always doing great things and then being celebrated for them. Yeah.
I'm having trouble finding the fame table. What is your current fame?
9.
9. That will definitely, now that Demos has gone and told the world of your accomplishments, go up to 10.
Wonderful.
Woo, 10.
Ooh, I
Doesn't
don't remember
automatically-
that does.
It doesn't automatically do that. You have to tell people about your stuff, and you get
I've been so
rewarded for
busy.
it.
Been so busy. Maybe when we get to Mitros, there's a good chance to actually just go spend a day just like showing off, inspiring the soldiers. Right now, for example, we can taverns will begin to compete to get us to stay there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
See, that means we have an audience.
I think we can start saying, well, all right, we'll stay, but only if it's you pay for the stay, obviously.
You know that other places offered us free food and lodging, so what can you offer?
Yeah, exactly.
And
A
Yes.
room and spa for
Yes.
each of
Okay.
us. You know.
back to not caring about money whatsoever.
Yeah.
Gold. Gosh. No. Now it's like, yeah, but they offered me a tall crystal glass full of fried shrimp. I mean,
But
where
not
do you
like
get that? Right? Where do you get that?
not like gently stacked inside this glass. It was packed in.
It is. It was like, it was the density of a rock.
Just smushed in there.
Rock dense shrimp. Yes.
Oh,
That's what really gets Demos's attention.
Mhm.
No, like weird. Like, I mean, at some point he's fairly young. He's in his 20s, so he gets excited about the chance to try things like this. Like this, back when he was a guard in the city, a champion, even then, but part of the guard, right? The soldiery.
Mm.
He would go do these crazy adventures with his fellow like soldiers to go to like a weird store and buy some weird food and do a weird thing and get drunk and then climb the temple or something. you know,
He wants
he,
the fucking like
he lived
biggest.
in a world where, because of his status and who he is, he never really got in trouble. So, it's, he's
like
somewhat carefree.
taco, pizza, burger, side of pizza taco with
I think it's more like, it's not so much gross like fast food. It's more like, because he's somewhat hesitant to ever indulge too much in anything. Just for sort of a
right. I mean,
respect of Lutherian, he doesn't want to become his dad, sort of thing.
right.
He remembers what happened when he got struck by madness, and he did not like that. That was an unpleasant experience that he's put far behind him. Barely remembers anymore. No, it's more like, oh yeah, here, like tomorrow they're cooking like a whole goat, and it's going to be like an event, and it's going to be weird, and maybe not even taste good, but we're going to be there because it's going to be interesting.
I've never had a whole goat.
Yeah, like, so he likes like
Tomorrow I
event
will
stuff,
have.
right? Yeah, and maybe we get a chance to tell our stories. But let's go. Second day. Is there an
Give
event?
me a D20. One of you give me a D20.
All right, I'll do it. Ah,
Do it.
6.
Nothing happens. It is
Oh
a
man.
quiet day. The ocean surface, like the surface of a mirror, is reflecting the sunshine. As if the universe doesn't know of the ominous future. And eventually, Mitros does come into sight. It's rather busy harbor, in fact. Perhaps the fault is, despite you telling people to evacuate the city, it almost seems like there's at least as many, if not more, people around, just in general. Not just waiting on your arrival, but there's a few ships that are definitely not of Metrosian make, like smaller fishing boat that probably come from water adjacent villages somewhere, and the like. You can spot a few tents on the
they look
like
like-
property of the dock.
Do they look like the boats that Ariad might have seen?
No, they look vastly different. They're basically
Okay,
tiny
good.
fishing boats.
So basically, we said everybody should run, and the king sent out flyers saying, "Hey, you should come visit Mitros."
Everyone's like, "Oh, what's this about?"
And see the great
What's
deed that I am
happening?
not destined to perform. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the last success, I believe. I'll talk to you in a minute, Surf.
Was it good? Hey, just in time to return those books to the library.
Before we reach the harbor, though, Demas will seek out Darius.
All right, you'll probably see him like mad, researching in the. We can stay on the part of the map, but he's probably on the deck below.
As he goes to look for him. So, hey, Darius, I haven't really. I expected to hear tales be part of my own. You tell the story so much better than I do.
Well, it was your journey, Deimos. You should be the one to tell it. I can put it in for the history books, but these people get a chance to hear it from the man himself.
Nothing wrong. I usually don't pick up on these things, but it seemed like something is amiss with you. You're nervous about, well, doing this thing?
No. Well, I appreciate you coming to ask. That's nice. I'm not sorry about the other day, but I do regret that it upset all of you so much. I overreacted. I was stressed, trying to pry information, and something he said really hurt, and I don't think you meant it that way, but I can't help but recoil.
It's not what I would have done, but Darius, we're not always going to be happy with one another's choices. Certainly, there are things that Artemisia has done that I think were horrendous. Ariad just seems to think, I'm sure there's something there too. It's not able to come up with anything, so it hasn't really been that long yet.
Yeah, she's been
It
all
is.
right by me. A little quiet.
You don't have to do everything according to how I would do it. I wouldn't expect that of you. Honestly, I can't say that I know that my way for sure is the right one. It's just the one I'm going with.
Understandable. We can only do as we think is right. I do think I owe you all an explanation of my motives. I didn't want to distract from your destiny, but now that you've accomplished it, we can have a talk at any time.
Then it should get done. I think now more than ever we need to work as a team. To all be on the same page and all have the thoughts in the same place. We're going to face that have never been defeated. If they're here Sidon, they've killed other titans. So it's almost like a little bit giddy. It's going to be a battle, and if we live through it, we're going to be legends. If not, well, I pray to the five that no one else will.
Well, perhaps we should find the others, and I can tell you my thoughts then as to how we might accomplish that.
Oh, sure, yeah. I hope it didn't distract you from your subjects.
No, it's fine. I was just about done anyway. Demis, I'm sorry. I I want to just let this go and not have a thing about it, but it's bugging me, and I know that if we get it off our chest and talk about it, then it'll be better. The thing that upset me was when you said you were staring at one of the old Dragonlords. And I think you knew exactly what to say in the moment that would hurt. So I guess I'd just like to ask if that was a reaction in the moment. That's what you actually think.
He stops for a moment. Has like he opens his mouth for like an initial brushed off answer, and then he takes a moment to think. Which is not his usual way of dealing with stuff like this.
Mhm.
Normally, he might hit Darius on the back and say, come on,
Mhm.
don't dwell on these things. But he can see that Darius has this as an important thing, right? He thinks. And he says, Darius, I can't say, of course, what I said in the moment was done in the moment. I'm not one to prepare speeches or anything like that. However, what I saw, well, I suppose the thing I said in the moment, I said because it reminded me of what we saw in the tombs. To do things that seem, at least to me, not particularly heroic in order to reach one's goals. I can't say I know much about the original Dragonlords, but I understand it is somewhat their philosophy. I'm sorry I hurt you. Of course, I don't think you're one of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You would, well, be with them, I suppose, or do what the ghost does below and demand your way, unless otherwise she will let the world burn. You are with us, and you are going to fix the Titans, and well, that certainly makes you part of the new Dragonlords, doesn't it?
Sort of is biting his lip, taking it in, doing that like slow nodding thing when you're processing information. Like, well,
So I'm
thank you for your
sorry
honesty.
what I said hurt you in some way. I simply blurted out my thought in the moment. And, well, perhaps I could have been less crass. Sort of seems to try to find a word more sort of philosophical, but honestly, it was a bit scary, man.
Yeah. No, you don't have to apologize. You're a good lad, Demas. You hold us to a higher standard, and sometimes I need that, I suppose. But I think the thing that hurt was that, from what we know, all of the old Dragonlords became what they became for selfish reasons. And I'm pulling myself to depths I never imagined for the sake of others. So I think that just was something I was sensitive to. It's not your fault.
I felt the temptation too, right? There was the whole thing, the island, and I was cursed, and there was a temptation there, right? Something that always was available to me. I could have taken that power and just grasped it, used it for good, but well, I feel that what I do for others, I try to do in a way that they would approve of.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing exactly the same thing that you have wisely avoided.
I mean, I
Except-
walked right into it until you pulled me back by my ear and fixed it. We have to rely on each other, Darius. And I suppose I try to be more observant, and if I see you overstepping something, I'll be more blunt before we get there. Or drugs.
Let's have this talk with the others, and then perhaps we'll understand each other better.
Yeah, that seems good. He says a little quickly, perhaps like, yeah, he really is not like he's like, yeah, I'll pull you out of the darkness, and he's like, I don't actually. He doesn't know if he would know it before he sees it,
Right. Mm-hmm.
He just sort of listens to his heart, and if something feels wrong, then it probably is wrong.
Hmm.
So it's just I'll get him.
Sure.
Where will he find Artemisia?
I think Halldamir might have gone somewhere for a minute.
Oh, he knows where to find Ariat. Go up to the mast. Like I think Demas always yells a little bit when he talks to Ariat in the mast. Probably more than it's actually needed. So it's like
It feels
Ariat!
right, doesn't
Ariat! Oh,
Dimas, I can hear you better if you don't do this thing by
God.
half covering your mouth
We
with your
have to
hands.
talk discreetly in the hold. You have to come down here. He sort of says and gestures wildly, like pointing to the deck.
She'll like wave and then like thumbs up.
It's just, the siren's voice really carries. As he looks at some. I can hear her perfectly fine. Incredible. And, I'll go
She
find
shakes her
Artemisia.
head in the mess, like sometimes I feel really old. And then she hovers down and looks at the sky before she goes upstairs.
Hmm. Well, we will then gather, I suppose.
Yeah. So um this awkward pause. Like we are sitting here, but like I mean our characters too is like everyone finding their way to the place. Like
Yeah.
so it's it's like a small talk, and then it's like, no, it's so stupid. Like, the weather's been great. Yes, Darius fucking controls the weather. What's dynamic. Like, what are you gonna say?
Good work on the weather, Darius.
Thanks.
Just stunning.
Thanks.
It's no Kira, but it'll get the job done.
I mean, if we can do that for the rest of the next couple of weeks, then we'll be done.
That's right.
What's the
Is
first
Halldamir
thing-
back yet?
There he is.
Literally just got back. Right.
There we go.
Oh,
Fish fingers and chips for dinner. So,
Ooh, yeah.
all right.
British.
How can I help?
We are gathered under the deck. Demos and Darius had a talk, wherein they found some common ground and reconciliated. Now, Darius has called for the team to gather so that he can share his thoughts about, well, what is really going on. Where would Demos have found Amnesia when he said, where does she spend her time, like, on a normal day?
On the deck. Like to think that Aravandar, wherever he is, where is that little silver gone?
It's
Oh,
probably
yes.
a common occurrence that he just disappears, and Artemisia finds him in a corner somewhere, staring at like a bug or like a discarded piece of
There
rope.
he
Just
is.
Oh, yes. All three of the dragons would also be welcome to this.
I don't think necessarily Xerxia would be interested. You know what? Maybe. It's Demos Proves, but definitely he would have gone to Xerxia and been like, so we're all gathering on the deck to hear Darius's theories about. And he sort of pauses for a moment, just, I'm not actually sure, but it has something to do with dragons. So maybe you can weigh in. You're part of the team after all. I mean, we did great. And
she gives Limos a bit of a scaly raised eyebrow with an enigmatic expression before simply following him.
yeah, good, cool. Yeah, he'll definitely bring her. After all, he's a dragonborn,
talk.
and he's got to share everything with the dragon. So he might as well get used to it. So must the others. I mean, you could say it in front of Demas, you could say it in front of Cirxia.
There's looking kind of tense at everyone as they walk in, like just nodding, unsure where we all stand. All right then, I suppose I better get to it. Thank you for coming to talk. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that I've been acting strange for a few days. As I explained to Demos, after our talk with Valis, my mind's been racing, but I didn't want to distract from what we had to do. So I'd like to share that with you, if that's all right.
Artemisia just nods.
Of course.
Well, I guess I'll start with or from my point of view, the order of things, I suppose. So it'll make sense. But during our talk with Valis, I think I expressed it at the time, but it became extremely clear to me that she had been part of the company that I came to this island from. She was in the company of the Dragonlords. We had Xia and Damon and a couple of stragglers with us, but none that could have been the five. Familial relations, you know. I was racking my mind trying to remember everyone, and at first I thought they were Dragonlords. I thought maybe that the Dragonlords had somehow become gods, and it's not impossible that they might have, assumed a new gender when becoming a god. It's not impossible. But the family dynamic, that I find hard to believe that they just invented upon their transformation. And I've reached the thought that none of the Dragonlords match that theory. We didn't have any servants. So, who must they be? Who else was in that company?
The dragons.
He nods. If you'll remember our talks with Chalcia, John the Time Goat, the stories we've heard from the mermen, it should be. I know it's hard to say with a straight face. I'm trying.
Right.
It seems pretty clear that Titan powers can be stolen. I believe that 5 of the dragons that were part of my company figured out how to do so. They've been thought to be dead, but instead returned as gods. I don't know how they did this, but I think it might be a vital thing, perhaps even more so than the madness weapons, that we need to find out. The reason for that is because of the domain that Lutheria wields. I've been wondering, why has she seemed so relaxed about this whole thing? Sidon's been making moves, assembling an army, doing everything he can while still following the Oath of Peace. Lutheria's been if she has been making moves, they've been very hidden. And when we see her, she seems pretty calm and collected. But she wields the domain of death. So, if that's the case, will killing her actually be a threat? Will it be enough to stop her? I don't know. But if Titan powers can be stolen, then we need to figure out how before the end of the Oath of Peace to make sure that she can actually be stopped. What I was trying to do was at least secure that the premise that this theory is based on is true. Because if it's not, then this is all just wild fantasy. But if it is, then Hexia shouldn't have known about it. The one apology I must make is to you, Xerxia, he says, turning to her. I'm ashamed to say that I fell for her trick at first, but even on the walk back to the boat, it occurred to me that it made no sense why you would know something. But I hope that you realize that even when I thought that you might, I did not invade your head because you are an ally, and you have not done anything to deserve that.
She moves her maw as if to say something, and then seems to suppress it before simply nodding.
Right. I think that's probably the best I'm going to get out of her. That's pretty good. He continues, like, I have absolutely no idea where to start looking. But perhaps, assuming that these things are true, Pythor Valis obviously can't talk about it, but maybe we could retrace the dragon's steps, see what they saw, learn something. What do you think?
Wouldn't I know it if I was a half dragon? I mean, that would make Suxia a whole dragon, right?
Not if they relinquish their form. They appear human to us, at least human resembling.
I mean, right, but I mean, I don't know anything about how gods work, really. I mean, figure once you're important enough, they say that as long as someone remembers you, you can't really die. So that's probably how they did it.
But how would they have become gods in the first place? I can't think of another way other than to wrest the power from the Titans, as Domain did to his children.
I mean, we're pretty good. If he can manage to defeat Lotheria, then she shrugs. We wouldn't have taken any of her power. We would just have defeated her because we're better, stronger, braver.
Exactly. And I
Pretty
have faith that we can do that. However, if she controls the domain of death, that might not be enough.
You
See what
know,
I'm saying?
well, if we can kill her and Sidon, I mean, even if they return, we'll do it again, and then at least it'll win us some time, right?
I don't know. But I know that if we were able to figure it out beforehand, then it would be over once and for all.
Just don't see how.
I don't either, but I only had this thought 4 days ago.
We can ask
Hasn't
Val.
been done.
We're going there anyway.
She won't be able to talk about it, but assuming she's not scrying on us right now, which she probably is, perhaps we could ask for some lore about the dragons themselves. Or maybe go to the library, I don't know, but I don't think the library would have anything. If that information was known, we'd know about it.
Oh, not as well. I mean, it does make sense. How many silver and gold dragons came with the Dragonlords?
I think they were almost, except for Dareth Axel, they were all like the good colors. Like they were like silver, gold.
No, it's just, well, 3 of the 5 are silver based and 2 are gold based. So
I don't know that
believe-
this is true. Yeah.
I believe the majority
consider
were
their
bronze.
symbols.
Brass.
Set of shrugs.
Bronze?
I
Yeah.
mean, the holy symbol of Mitros, it's a silver dragon with golden eyes.
Could be
If
a
there were
representation.
dragons, then that makes sense.
Her old form
You have
and new form.
Vulcan, the silver anvil. You have Kira, the silver stringed lute. Then Pythor, the golden hammer, and Valus, the golden laurel.
I
I
hadn't
mean, it
even
could
thought
be a
about that.
coincidence, but all of their symbols are related to gold and silver.
Mariad, Artemisia, what do you think? Is there any credence to this, or am I raving mad?
Makes sense to me.
As for family relations, I don't know if a gold and silver dragon can have children, but if they do, I suppose it makes sense that some would be gold and some would be silver.
Hmm. Is that something Darius would know, or even Xerxia?
What question exactly?
Can dragons of different colors have children? And if so, like, would the kids just be like, one of the other?
Are we talking Mendelian?
Uh, the short answer would be yes.
Okay,
Right.
there we go. That's all that's really needed.
Mhm. This was all after Versi made her offer and I took it out of grief. If I'd been there, maybe I would have known how they did it. So I don't have any hints as to where they might have gone or what they might have done afterwards.
Well, they certainly have been very tight-lipped about it, so I don't know.
I
There
think
might
that's
be a
part
reason
of
for that, though. Have you considered that if we found out something bad might happen? Perhaps
I
the secret
assume
is
that the
guarded.
Titan. I think that is what the five had to offer in exchange for peace, was their silence, so that no one else would out how to do it. If you were the Titans, or it makes sense. Well,
Is it just 5 that are bound to this
The peace.
the over peace and this rules? Because there is another goddess
what?
of beauty.
Oh, right.
It's a god, but yes.
God, I thought it was a goddess. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, he sort of, rolls his eyes slightly.
Could have been another dragon, perhaps.
He shrugs. As far as I'm aware, they're locked up in Eresia somewhere. Think
Uh,
the Queen or something?
Arisi is a long way away, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Can't sail there either. You'd have to walk.
You
Yeah.
can sail there. Just maybe not in this boat. It's a bit big.
So nods,
Yeah, I tried sending Damon to ask him some questions, but he refuses to leave the necropolis. I don't think we have time to go there either.
I mean, here's the thing. If we can't defeat the Titans, it doesn't really matter anyway, does it? If we lose, then, well, nothing we could do about it. If we were to steal their power, we'd have to defeat them first. If we can defeat them once, we can do it twice. So let's try to defeat them once, and then, yeah, we can see if we can. I mean, then the Oath of Peace will be over, and if we're right, then they can just tell us.
I feel like we're still missing something, but yeah.
It would be great if we had more time. Month, 2 maybe.
Shame that we barely have 2
Still.
weeks.
Yeah. One of the islands was trying to remember the lore, but there was something about like Thylia herself, right?
Yeah, that's the golden heart.
Yeah,
The golden heart.
that's where we're going. It symbolizes Thylia itself.
It was a big tree,
Hmm.
basically,
Tree.
with like
Oh yeah.
apples on it.
I don't know. Maybe Thylia could offer some insight.
Well, I mean, I don't know. She might not like her kids, but I mean, I don't know that any mother would betray their child that way.
Hmm.
He sort of glances back behind him and says, "Oh, well, maybe some would."
Can't know without trying. And if we were thinking of going there anyway, then
I think that was why we were going there, to find out.
well, then we have more questions to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, I wanted everyone to know we can keep these things as in mind as we move forward. Oh, Larry, I just noticed your new token picture. Looks awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, Ariad will look. She like frown. That is a lot to take in.
Hmm.
I don't. I'm not sure I quite understand the use. No matter what, the Titans are worse than. Well, she looks uncomfortable. She's not really a worshiper of the five. I never was. They're. Even if the gods are not who they appear to be, well, they're still a lot better.
So,
I
I mean, they are
agree.
who they appear to be, right? It's just, how did they become that way? I suppose.
It's not about them. It's about, if my guess is true, then that means they took power away from the Titan. And if we could do that, would make them weaker and us stronger.
Just imagine, Ariad, goddess of death.
Keep it in shush. I
I would certainly trust it in her hands more than Etheria's.
yeah, she doesn't say anything to that. She just looks pained. And then she's like, well, yeah, that certainly would be a useful skill.
When we reach Mitros, by the way, while we're all here, let's go talk to the people there for, at least a little bit while we resupply. We should tell them what had happened, give them some hope that our mission might yet succeed.
I have some books to return and some things to look into, so take your time. Oh, whoa, what's going on?
Looks, this is Suxia. Have you ever
You okay?
been?
Sorry about that. All good.
Suxia, have you ever been to Mitros? I suppose you would have, right?
I've stayed away from the populated places as much as possible until I've decided to join you on your journey to my mother. I have not been there, no.
We should fly over it.
Why?
I think it would be good for the people to see us. And honestly, I mean, wouldn't it be sort of cool? Show them off the new Dragonlords.
She looks up into the sky thinking, for nodding. I suppose there's something to it. I've not particularly enjoyed hiding. I was incredibly bored most of the time.
Maybe we could inland, see what a tavern could offer a dragon. I'm sure they'd try. They'd be interested in nothing else. That would be a chance to tell some tales. Claim that fame you deserve.
I'm unsure if any of those taverns could offer anything that would be for my enjoyment, as the most crucial part of any meal is missing. The hunt, of course.
You know, it's
I have heard that people describe trying to find the right bar as, well, I think it is bar hopping, but if it is to find the right meal, I suppose it's some kind of hunt compared to none.
actually,
That's amazing.
normally we call it more of a crawl, or maybe even a delve, if you're adventurous.
Oh, well,
But yeah, that sounds great. Let's all do. Let's all go.
Yeah.
actually, I was thinking that I'm not really known here, and I think you know my story. It you know, no one knows who I am and such, so I figure that I can be sort of a secret weapon. So I think I'll just, keep an eye on the boat and yeah.
Frowns. Seems harsh.
Look, Dimas, I am too old and respect myself. Well, sorry, way too much to do any bar crawling.
You don't look a day over. He glances to Darius for help.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, Dimas,
32?
just never do it. There's never a right answer.
Xerxia tilts her head a bit. You've just attempted to convince myself to enjoy one of those bar hunts, but you think yourself too old?
You know, let us set that as a challenge. We'll go there and we'll ask them. We will say that whoever can impress the two of you with their service, well, I guess we'll give them patronage or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
Except for that
She
one
looks-
place.
She
The
looks to
Lutheria
the
one. That doesn't
dragon,
get to compete.
sort of regretting. She's like, "Yeah, I did not tell that right, did I?"
Is
When
it
I
just sort
was
of dig your own
born,
grave?
Mitros was a large village. Probably. I didn't see it back then, of course.
Metros is the definition of a city.
Yes, it is.
Mostly
But Dimas is like, "Yeah," and Ariel is like, no."
That's Artemisia any time Demos talks of Mitros.
It's like, yeah,
Ah,
it
Mitros.
really is.
If it can
Maybe we can
swim,
try
you can buy it in
and,
a spin.
We can maybe visit the smaller places, give them some patronage.
All right, I guess it's a delve then.
She's like, oh.
So, Sheep, what did I get from these books?
All right, that's
Oh, Darius, do you need help with carrying the books to the library? I think
to
that we
quickly
should
summarize. To quickly summarize, Seraph, I want you to pick any one spell, and we will work together to upgrade it for the particular purpose you're researching it.
Whoa! Okay.
Here's a question. Does alcohol class as a poison?
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
In which case, I'm immune. So this is going to be a really boring bar crawl.
Well, you're gonna beat them all and
If
drink.
Pythor can force himself to get drunk, you can.
I'm immune. It's like it's impossible. He has like
Gotta
legendary resistances.
shut your resistance. You shut your immune system down. You get horribly sick.
I can't because I think it's like her body is so pure. I think that's what it is. Yeah, purity of body. Her body is just so damn awesome. The
So well
key
trained
is
muscles.
yeah,
You know, it's just
immune
nothing
to
can get
being
through
sick.
Cool.
I could bite into the side of a cow and not get sick.
it. Please don't.
What
Funny
was that?
story. They actually have a place for that. We'll visit. We'll go.
All right.
Well, guess we go for the kids.
On a delve.
I hate it so much.
Have fun.
All right.
Harriet sense that there is a stink eye.
Well, the reception in Metros itself is as usual. The Ultros is, of course, spotted quite some time before actually docking, which means plenty of people have plenty of time to sneak in the odd gaze at the prophesized heroes, the chosen people. And yeah, you've seen that often enough at this point. If you want to journey through the city and see its many places of what even is the right word? Taverns and such. That'll take a bit of time, to say the least. But there's a lot of
Oh.
variety involved.
Yeah.
Dima,
Yes.
you should show your mother to the places that were important to you when you grew up.
No. What? No. Why? I have more important things to do right now. We can do that afterwards. Besides, I'm sure father and her have a lot of catching up to do.
Oh.
No, I wouldn't neglect you two alone. I mean, you don't even really know each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Besides, there's like maybe a couple hundred people you should meet. You know, all my old friends. Just around, keep the things tidy, you know.
All right. She
Dima,
looks to Artemisia. You're coming with.
before they go, Dimas will give his mother and father a hug here.
Oh.
And just, you know, tell them to be safe. And, you know, think of him as he goes off to fight the Titans.
Pythor will do the usual bone stomping, like pat on the shoulder, as he'll say, "Always. I know you'll do great. I know you'll do the right thing. And I know you'll believe me when I say that your mother will be safe."
He nods. And if you could do me a favor, Father, there's a couple other people in this city that I would like you to look after. And he'll just give Pythor the address of his like the adoptive parents he has in the city. You know, they're just humans, and sure, they're warriors certainly, but they're also older at this point. And if you know, just he likes the idea of them being looked after somewhat. Should anything happen, you know.
Well, I find it unlikely that after you're done there will be anything left for me to do in Metros, but just in case there is anything for me to clean up afterwards, trust me when I say that I will look after every single one who stays in Metros.
Yeah. That's all I need to hear.
And
Of course.
Velos too, of course. She perhaps even more fierce than I will. So a lot of sounds silly, but Mitros is important to her, obviously, but more so than you might think.
Yeah, just yeah, sure. A quick little note. By the way, do I have any dragon blood in my like? Do you have any dragon relation at all?
I love Divas
Darius,
so
Darius
much.
said some stuff, and
I
I've been
love
thinking
Darius.
it would be really smart if I could, grow wings or something. And I thought maybe if that was the case, then you'd tell me, after everything I've done, you know, so I have closure when I go fight the Titan.
He just sort of raises an eyebrow.
Hand on Pytho's arm and looks him into the eyes.
So you need to be aware that Xerxia is your half sister, which means you do not have the same mother.
Yeah, I know that, but he said that maybe you used to be a dragon before you became a god.
No, well, do I look like a dragon to you?
It kicks a little bit. It says you look impressive.
Can't I do that without being a dragon?
I suppose, but
Dragons are
Mitchell's
really cool.
symbol is a silver dragon. And you could look like a dragon if you wanted to, right? You could look like whatever you want.
Not exactly how it works.
Presumably he would have if he got a child with.
Oh my god.
That
Oh,
explains that.
So, I just
You don't have to be ashamed of being who you are. You don't need to be a multi-ton lizard to feel accomplished.
Python's fucking gaslighting his son.
I know, but I mean, it was just maybe. I mean, it wouldn't be bad to be, a little bit of a lizard.
I know you'll do great, Demos.
Yeah, I know.
Are they having this conversation with everyone else on the deck ready to go?
I mean, you can be within earshot. It's not like he's trying to avoid you, but it's not like he invited you either.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think I've headed to the palace by this point, so I'm out.
Anyway,
Apparently, I'm going on a bar crawl.
It was just a thought. It was just a silly thought. She just sort of shakes out of it. Says, I'm gonna go introduce Xerxia to the city. We'll go off with the idea that Ariat seems pretty happy, and let's fly just out this delve. That's a good way to get attention.
What about Artemisia?
All right, I'll see you guys later then. It's fine. I don't mind not going on a bar crawl.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay. Well, I mean, I guess we can walk.
You can come with me if you want.
No, we can walk. It's fine. I just
No, that's okay.
Actually,
we can walk.
how does-
we can
how does-
definitely walk.
How does Artemisia feel about some infiltration?
About what?
Some infiltration.
Mediocre at best. If you remember the last time, she was turned into a
Crab?
crab.
She was trying to. It was very cute though. It was a very cute crab.
So she's not a huge fan of Crabtomisia.
he will also approach if she's being like
fair enough.
drawn in by Darius. He will also approach and just be like, I mean, you're coming with me, right?
I'm your best friend. Like, why
I
would
thought,
you?
I thought that was given. I mean, I'm going on a delve. He says with a focus on the word delve. That means something. And I'm bringing my sister and sort of spacey aunt.
Spacey.
You got to be there, right?
Sure.
Arya looks at Artemisia like silently as if she's like, which one do you want to be? Because I'm torn.
I mean, okay. So Artemisia will Artemisia will nod and say, but only so I can stop you getting into bar fights near the end.
I mean, they wouldn't dare. And if they do, I owe it to all of you to protect our reputation.
That's what I'm
Besides-
worried about.
I'm sure they'd like to see the rod.
Oh my.
You know,
Eiffels'
Sure.
greatest weapon.
sure, Demas. I'll come with you, but alcohol doesn't have that great of effect on me anymore.
I mean, it's not the alcohol, it's mostly the tales, right? We're going to tell them all what happened. Make sure they saw us, see us, and that they believe in us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we return here, things might be chaotic. And if we want people to listen, we need to be the kind of people that only win.
I'm very torn if I should be bringing Aravandar on this delve of yours.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Hmm.
He might be a bit young. He could pick up some things that might not be savory, healthy.
Hmm.
But then again, I mean, I never took harm, I guess, so. Being raised in the military is not that bad.
At least I'll be sober enough to tell him that people are drunk and stupid. Okay.
So we visit every establishment in this city. No
Every-
sleep, 14 hours,
I think we all
20
pick
minutes
up
each place.
we'll pick up like a level of exhaustion.
An epic journey.
The whole time it's just Devos telling stories. Artemisia is like off to one side with Aravandar, like what, like telling him this isn't. No, don't. No, don't.
And then we cut to the day after, and we sit talk, and we say, and that, everyone, and he looks to the camera, was the Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
It's all building up to this, guys. That's the level of night.
It's our ultimate culmination.
Oh. Oh my.
Do we? We never have to pay
We
for
will
these
repeat
things.
his story many times, and include Xerxia in it, because, part of the deal was that she would get the fame, right? So,
Hmm.
and now she's a Dragon Lord. That's cool.
Yeah,
I think-
Xerxia for this delve. Initially, perhaps a bit reluctant, but it does give her an opportunity to enjoy a bit of a mean streak as she challenges other people to drinking contests, which she tends to win generally.
Being resistant to poison and all.
I will take your challenge, like near the end. Immunity beats resistance.
She might be immune, I don't know.
Actually, I suppose she's a green dragon. I mean,
She's not immune to the poison condition.
okay, I am.
But she won't die.
I'm immune
She
to
just has the
poison.
advantage of a lot of body mass.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good con, good size.
It's gonna be a wild flight back.
Yeah, it's gonna be so wobbly.
Also, if she's being ingratiated into the group and like being part of the stories, then she'll start getting a lot of praise, and she's a dragon, so maybe she'll be into that.
It'll evolve into a god. Mm. Yeah, no, like you must expect after telling this oath of the Dragon Lords, that's kind of a hey, we're gonna be around each other. Period. Like this is life now, and he is excited about it to a degree where he wants her to be part of everything he's around doing.
Aw.
Like all his friends, he'll introduce his sister, and she can challenge them to drinking contests or whatever. He's just excited that she's here and that they get to engage in the city in this way and sort of, yeah.
Metro certainly has a selection, a variety in tavern, from, of course, the ones in the, well, gently put, Lufaria-oriented style of district of the city. Plenty of quantity mostly, not necessarily the quality, but it's certainly the taverns where the atmosphere is most open and free, so to speak. But there are other places, the more soldiery districts that Demos would be very familiar with, have their own style of taverns, where it's more quiet, people talking about this and that. Although, of course, if there's an occasion to really throw a party, they can certainly do that very well. To perhaps you go even there, the more upscale places in the higher places of metros, where it's more wine and such rather than mead and beer. They, of course, welcome you with equally open arms, although it's perhaps a bit more hesitation, a bit more resistance to the style of festivities that I think the group here is looking for. But all of them are equally excited audiences for stories, no matter if they are entirely the truth or exaggerated. And Xerxia is definitely an eye catcher, to say the least.
Is there a place that is outside and has party tents and a bonfire?
Yeah, in the upper districts of metros, most of the taverns are larger open spaces, a lot of trees. The tables more spread out, more private. It's more of a restaurant feel rather than a tavern, but that's what
But there's
they
bonfires.
yeah, sure.
Oh, that's where Ariad would actually kind of enjoy herself and might even, start telling their stories. As there's that is sort of a setting that she can relate to, and yeah, probably given her high charisma, a lot better at still telling stories than Dimas. But she knows her audience, and when they come back to the military stuff, she will go in the background again and just support Dimas in his glory.
Actually, the delve starts at the highest point, which is the fanciest place. And then during the 14 hours, you gradually descend in quality of tavern until you're the sort of the scummiest low point, and you're the most drunk and filthy. So that, that's the idea.
Great.
So it starts exciting and nice for Arid, and she thinks, "Oh, this might not be so bad," and then devolves into terrible, claustrophobic, and smelly taverns at the end.
Do you think Demas could get Arya to drink enough to have fun?
No.
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 He tried.
Yeah. Does he just order her drinks, or
I
It's
don't
more
think
like
we pay for anything.
he would get her something strong and then do like a lot of toasts. Like to the end of the Titans, and then
yeah, she'll do the thing where she like lifts the glass and then put her lips to it, but I don't know, not a lot seems to at all disappear when she does it.
yeah.
She
Well, I
tosses it
mean-
over her shoulder when Demas isn't looking.
Yeah, she just waits until he's like, telling a story.
he just wants everyone here to have fun together.
Yeah, I think Ariad will really try because, like, after some time, she's like, well, okay, like, I'm doing this for my weird nephew or brother as, a bonding experience to try and show show interest in the things that he's interested. Men that aren't there not So she'll build try, and if nothing else, she'll observe Demas in his environment. And politely tell people that she is having fun. Yes.
Oh, poor Ariad.
She'll still think, this is still a lot better than meeting the king of Mitras in like a weird hostile situation. The first time she's ever here. You know.
All right.
During your delve, you can. Two things happen. One, since you're actively going around spreading stories that haven't circulated nearly as much as they perhaps could have, especially with Kira's absence, you can take another point of fame.
Ooh,
Oh no!
what happens at Fame 11?
When we move through large, crowded areas without moving stealthily, there's a 25% chance we're mobbed for an hour.
Yep, that sure happens.
Oh,
That's basically what we're doing.
That is
All
exactly what happened.
Oh my
And if we
god.
have to go quickly, it's like Xerxia, and then we jump on her back, and she like
Fly straight up.
God, that's going to be the benefit of having dragons, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
We get mobbed. Sorry, folks. Gotta go. And...
the Titans await.
God.
Wink at someone, and then.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And the other thing, of course, you talk to people about this and that. You do hear that while people in general were encouraged to leave Mitros because of the obviously impending danger, it actually seems like most people have ignored the device. And in fact, many of the villages nearby, and even some of the more far away ones, have moved into Mitros instead, because none of them fancy their chances against rampaging centaur hordes and whatever else follows Sidon. Mitros, on the other hand, is, as far as defensible goes, it's top 3 in Phylea. Astoria apparently was one of the other options the immigrants really considered. However, while that city is doing well, Demos and the rest of you will hear, it is apparently intent on sending most of its force to Mitros and holding Astoria with basically a skeleton army. It mostly defends a pass that supposedly, according to Astoria and its current queen, can be held against 10,000 with a force of a mere 100. But the people aren't exactly like wanting to take that chance. And if there's really only 100 soldiers left to defend that place, then, well, Mitro seems nice, even if it might be the focus. Surely between the heroes and all the armies and the allies and the dragons overhead, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. It's not terrible logic.
As long as we don't fail, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not here. Why am I talking?
Well, he was will inform his guard buddies. While he's hanging out with them, they're here. So please be ready, because tonight is a celebration, but in 2 weeks, this all turns very real, and it's going to go very fast. So see if they can stock like storages of weapons and such that can be accessed by the citizenry, just spears or whatever, so that if nothing else, they can like defend themselves, because it might very well be a fight for, just everything.
I think one of Demos's buddies like fakes as if he's taking notes. Although most of them seem to be mocking Demos's apparent.
All right. He throws his cape on the ground. All right, who wants it? Come on. Throw it down.
Someone will certainly take Demos up on the offer to spar with him, but in general, they definitely look as if they had those thoughts already and have been preparing a lot.
Yeah, let's throw it down. That's an excuse for demons to get into a brawl. They'll mock him.
How far into the crawl are we? Delve, sorry.
Like
Delve.
8 hours.
I looks around for the monsieur.
She's always there, watching, disappointed, very sober.
Yeah.
I've been that friend. Sober in
I
a long
am
drink.
that friend, except I just don't go.
So.
So.
Well, you know.
Demons thinks you're both a little bit of like buzzkills.
I mean, she's drinking. Artemisia's drinking. She just cannot get drunk.
Look,
Huh?
Arya is the one who is responsible for getting everyone home safe, and she takes that responsibility very seriously. Okay? Designated driver. But if they're just friendly brawling, that's not. She figures if he fights with his friends, I mean, that's there.
It's definitely not the first time.
Yeah. It's like this is what young people do.
But anyway, what about Darius?
What's he doing?
I think mine can be summarized pretty briefly, but he'll go back to the library and return the books, since he's apparently crafted a new spell, and be very grateful for them. And maybe spend a little bit of time sort of wandering around there, see if any titles catch his eye that might be relevant to our situation. You won't spend too long on it, but could I make a perception check, Sheep? Is just like moving through the aisles.
Are you looking for just something that you think might be relevant to you, or are you trying to answer a specific question?
I was thinking general knowledge, but especially if he saw something like the history of the First Great War and what happened to the dragons afterwards,
Then you could give
or
me
something equally plot relevant.
your choice of history or diplomacy, whether you want to talk to the scholars or look through the books.
History for sure. You know what? This is important. I'm going to blow my 15 on it. Good call. So plus 14 to that roll is 31.
31. Well, looking around, you do actually manage to find not just one book, but apparently a sizable collection, all written by the same author about the topic of dragons and their fates during the First War. Someone who has in fact tried to basically map out what happened to each and every single one of them.
Amazing. What's the author's name?
It is a person you've actually, a name you actually recognize. It is a scholar by the name of Aesop.
Oh, I vaguely remember that name. Did we meet that guy during the tournament or something?
Let's see. Let me make sure that I'm not getting the name wrong. But he is he works as a priest in Astoria.
Is he the guy who, like, the Horn of Balmitra was stolen from?
Yes, that is him.
Ooh, amazing. And since I know him, I might be able to ask him questions with sending. Okay, great. I will rent out all the books. All the books. If I'm allowed to. I have returned the old ones.
You most definitely can rent any book, and there won't even be library fees because you are in fact a famed hero. And
Amazing.
while the others get free drinks, you get free books.
Aw, that's very nice. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
and I make it clear. I make sure that the people can see that one of the chosen heroes visited this library. Maybe more people will come to the library, and they'll benefit that way. Yeah, the next thing I'll do is head to the palace and ask someone to guide me to Chandris's old chambers.
Darius does get a few odd looks,
Hmm.
but one of the nondescript servants doesn't seem how he could refuse one of the
Mhm.
chosen heroes, and will lead you there.
Thank you very much. Once we're outside, and I'll dismiss the servant politely and thank him for his assistance. I would like to cast Locate Object.
Okay.
And the object that I'll be targeting is the lockbox that I saw in his head. Is that object within 1,000 feet of me?
It is not.
Wonderful. I don't even need to go in. I repeat the same thing by the ruins of the Temple of Lutheria.
It is the same result.
Damn it.
That's a
Well,
real missed opportunity for Delve right there.
He's treasure
Well,
hunting.
I'm treasure hunting, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know where else Chandris
Delve.
could have buried it or hidden it. That's a toughie. I mean, I guess beforehand, before I leave the thing, I would try to cast it maybe somewhere near Castus. Yeah, make me try that again by where would be a really ballsy place to hide it? Let's say the throne room.
All right.
Or any room near the throne room within 1,000.
It's an easy to cast spell.
Yeah.
Darius will once again get a few odd looks by whatever servants are around there, but at this point they don't really stop him. But no, you don't get a sense.
Okay, I'm out of ideas. I really hope it wasn't on that island that we first found him on. Well, that's disappointing. Cutting back to the ruins of Lutheria, if I remember correctly, I do believe there was a bar very close to it. So I guess I'll go there and see if the others are there near the end of their crawl.
Yeah, it's probably one of the last locations, that area, if
Yeah.
they're going top down.
Yeah. That's disappointing. Oh well, I got the books are very interesting. So maybe once we set sail again, that'll be my new research topic. And that's it. That's Darius.
Good. Then with the Ophelia and Pythor delivered, a night of debauchery, and then let's go. Time to face
Yeah.
the Titans, right? Do we want to visit the Golden Heart first?
I think that might be a good idea.
All right.
If there's anything we can learn from Thylia herself, surely be critical information.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we also want to find that. Oh, sorry, Sheep. One more thing. I seriously doubt this is going to happen, but I would like to do the same thing at the Temple of Sidon. And when I'm at the Temple of Sidon and at the Temple of Lutheria, I recast it twice, and the target will be Lutheria Madness Weapon.
Okay. You do not locate them in Mitros.
Okay. And the lockbox is not hidden near a Temple of Sidon.
You're fairly certain at this point that it is not in Mitros.
Okay, cool. There we go. Good. Yeah, let's go to the Golden Heart.
All right.
Would I still be making Arcana checks for my dragon research books, or is it history?
That would be history.
Okay, then I'll do one for today.
It's not the same system. It basically gives you the opportunity to roll a history check rather than being like 3 successes.
I see.
And of course, there's just the general contents that Darius can definitely just read about without a check. But a check might give more context information.
I see. I don't suppose over the course of the entire time at the library I could read them and get advantage from the library again.
No.
No. Okay. Then I'll just do the one. Actually, I don't think I would have had time with the bar crawl. I'll do it tomorrow. I don't think that's a stretch.
For this history check, like it's not like you're trying to learn a new
Mhm.
skill or making a spell. It's just a check. You can do that at any point.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. Don't want to blow my 13 on that. I'll try and see if I can get better. Yeah, let's blow 17 on that. So let me roll my thing and we'll adjust it. So plus 11, 30.
30. Well, looking through the books, they're certainly meticulous and have been released over, well, many years. And they mostly focus on, well, the first few focus on identifying, honoring the dragons that were in fact tracked down. Many fell in the defense of Mitros back then. Of course, in the air, struck down many of them by lightning. Their remains at that point landing in the wilderness, and recovering them was not the highest priority at the time, and things happen, you know.
Like,
It was a sad time back then.
yeah.
And most of them were accounted for, although maybe like 3/4, maybe less, were accounted for. But there are a lot of names in those books that were not, including, perhaps not unexpectedly, Hazabel.
Yeah.
Remains were never
Okay. I think Darius is like taking notes. I'm obviously not going to write in the book, but he's got like like new scraps of paper and basically, highlighting or noting down things I know to be true from my own memory, or things that we've learned on this adventure, things that I don't have any proof. Like this is just allegedly. Like I'm taking everything in this book as alleged fact, not as gospel. So with that, if I'm noting these things down, could he make an investigation check, see if something becomes more clear, or if there's a gap in knowledge, or that has to be a lie? Something like that, based on these things he's compiling together with the books.
Sure, you can give an investigation check.
All right, I'll blow my other 17 on that. Investigation. Man, I'm rolling like shit today, except for the prophecy rolls.
I will
so
say
plus-
though, for the future, the prophetic trance lasts for 10 minutes. That's not
Right.
exactly a long enough time for like book research. But
Right,
for
okay.
now, we'll take this. It's fine.
Okay, I can do a 13 if that's more fair. I think that's fair. But yeah, book research stuff. But I have the portent one.
Yeah, those I believe are permanent, basically.
Yeah, so let's do the portent one because I think you're right. So that would be plus 9, so 21.
21. Well, the book is very matter of fact, and to Darius's mind and eyes, well researched. It does, however, contain faults that are not dissimilar to his own suspicions. Not
Really?
necessarily that the fives are dragons, but that there are dragons unaccounted for, and Aesop appears to believe that they disappeared in somewhere in the Forgotten Sea.
Okay, somewhere in the Forgotten Sea. That's a lead. That's not a very. It's a very broad lead. Which ones? Which dragons are unaccounted for?
Well, there's Hannibal, obviously, who's probably not that
Yeah,
relevant.
But I can account for it. But sorry, between this book and stuff that I know, because
Yeah.
I'm narrowing it down with my own knowledge that this book doesn't have.
The other dragons that are unaccounted for, there's 8 in total, including Hezebel, that are unaccounted for.
Okay, so that's 7, and then
the dragons are the companions of Astor Arcalander,
okay,
Jacina Ventrek, Phryzon Phobos, Talamok Arcalander, and Adonis Nurdagon.
okay, I'll check the
As
recording.
well as one name that I spontaneously don't have for you. 2, 4,
mystery
6,
name.
7, 8. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, that is a lead. I would like to share that with everyone. Probably in the morning once they've woken up and Demos isn't drunk anymore. That's looking more likely. Yeah, I think I've taken enough time. We can move on.
All right. I suppose we skip ahead to the following day then. Reunite in the last heaven, have a bit of a talk. Perhaps Darius already tries to share his
I think I share it like with Artemisia and Ariad when Demos goes off for his fights and whatnot. Like the 3 sober people. Like, so I found something really interesting. Let me show you.
There's
Something
like
I
a
never
moment
got
where
to see.
like puts a hand on his. Wait a moment. Goes over to Demos, talks a bit. Sees if anything is right, and it comes back. Sorry, dear, do see.
Right, now this book claims that, and goes off on a tangent, showing his thoughts that Aesop even thought the same thing, not to the extent that we did, of course. And you were saying something about extra gods, so having slightly more than 5 of them, that this tracks. Hezebel, it just explains the whole thing to those 2.
It's like a weird contrast of like drunk military guys let loose finally. And,
Book nerds in the corner of
and
the bar.
fucking book nerd. And that's Ariadne.
Actually, the nature of God is
Yeah, actually, and just Artemisia and Ariad there in the middle, like, oh, I don't know if I want to be either of these places, but
Yeah, I found a GIF that I think summarizes Darius.
Sheep, I guess I'll cast sending to Aesop as well, and say basically, read your book, very interesting. Can you narrow down even further where the dragons disappeared? Very important for the future
we'll
of Hylia.
autograph book, 100 book.
I'll autograph your book.
We'll let you
Well,
do.
I mean, you gotta make the deal, man.
No, you could. You could
I'll
get a
let
real
you
good.
autograph my book. Yeah.
You could do a real good deal and be like, "Hey, I'll let you co-write my autobiography with me."
Yeah. This book contributed to saving the world.
Yeah, that's not.
Anyway. Yeah, I'll cast sending to Aesop and.
Is this still on the same day, right after you've joined up with the others?
Yeah, it's still. I may be on the way.
Because timeline-wise, it would be approaching midnight at this point.
I'll do it. Yeah, okay, yeah. You're fair point. I'll do it in the morning. I have the spell and the quill, so
Does Darius think about that in the moment?
I do want him to be awake and like receptive.
Right. You're very excited.
it's I am very excited, but also, maybe it's good to process things and know like have a think about what questions to ask.
Old man. We see him dreaming. He's sitting on a bench feeding some pigeons.
Yeah.
Like it's peaceful, and suddenly, like ripping
Ah!
through reality into his mind, comes Darius screaming about this book. Oh, oh.
He wrote it like 30 years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember. Send me the research documents.
Tell me everything you know.
I need to find the first-hand sources. Actually, that's the thing.
I
Send
mean,
me
I
the
think you
first-hand
have
sources.
the first-hand sources.
No,
They're
no.
just
I
called
have
gods.
his compilation. I have his compilation of writings, not the. That's a paper, not the source.
Mm-hmm. His references. Where's the
Yeah,
bibliography?
I look at his biblio. I look at his biblio in the book.
Damn it! It's not in Harvard style.
Send it all to me.
Anyway.
Yeah, he probably does that at like 6 a.m. Like tries to be respectful back, but like is very, very keen on this. He's a priest. He's probably out by now.
The next day it is then, after a well-deserved sleep after this adventure for everyone involved. There is sense of the message. There's of course the usual delay, which, while the spell is instant, the other party does have some time to consider their response, which he gets back approximately, although I'm not going to count the words. Thank you, but I'm afraid that particular research has reached a bit of a dead end. If you, however, find something on your travels, then do let me know.
All right. I can't respond today, so I may have a new pen pal. Valis is off the hook. Oh my god, I just saw the GIF. That's perfect.
The rest of the Ultros, as it's undocking from the Midlothian Harbor, is probably oddly quiet, as there's been a lot of exhausted sailors who've done their own version of tavern crawls, those that were allowed to leave, and those that weren't just made their own version of a tavern on the Ultros. It's a day of party, it's a day of excitement. What lies ahead is scary. But right now, there's a lot of hope going on, a lot of optimism. And it does help that even the big green dragon seems, needing a lot of sleep after drinking things she hasn't drunk before and underestimating their effects. So then, it is, however, necessary for you to choose your next location.
It's gonna go into the Golden Heart, right?
Yeah, the Golden Heart.
Seems
Just
like it.
imagine, like, there's like, oh, the guy who said that he could get a dragon drug was in fact right. Like, his crazy whiskey or whatever. No, it didn't.
It is then, I believe, 12 days left to the Oath of Peace ends. The Ultros raises its anchor and first heads through the Cerulean Gulf and, well, stays there actually, because that's where the Golden Heart is, in fact, located. Give me 20 to see if anything happens.
Sure. 13.
13. Give me a D100.
All right. 32.
See. Give me another one. We had this one.
63.
All right, that's a new one. As you're traveling for the what's the word? The calm waters of the Cerulean Gulf that perfectly mirror the sky above, you suddenly hear a sound that no sailor ever enjoys hearing, which is a scraping noise coming from the port side of the ship, after which the ship tilts a bit, turning sharply to set port side. There's no real fear among the sailors, but a lot of groans, as it appears you've run aground on a coral reef.
Oh,
In this world of supernatural terrors and titans and gods, sometimes there's very mundane problems to deal with too.
So we got flipped up port side, like the port side went down and the starboard went up.
Yeah, basically. Not like flipped completely. It's just a few degrees.
Listing.
Yeah.
But
So the problem's on the right side.
yeah.
Starboard
Okay.
side.
Yeah, the starboard side. Interesting.
Well, that
So,
sounds like a man with a lot of strength can fix that.
Yeah, sure does.
Pushing the ship would normally not be an option, but it might very well be worth a try.
I was gonna say Demos can even
It's Demos.
like breathe underwater.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ariad
Maybe
will
we
go,
get-
but he can't do the strength thing.
Yeah, I think maybe we get everyone, as many people as we can, like on reef. Like we can just stand, like feet soaking in the water, just decrease the weight as much as we can. Have the dragons like fly around.
We'll stand on the other side.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, I'm pretty okay at athletics.
Yeah, demons can just put on the diving plate and then
Mhm.
I can
Cast
just choose
guidance
to
on
run
you.
on water.
Leave.
plop.
Yeah, freeing the ship will need a couple of successful strength saving throws, not athletics.
Okay.
Okay, then make that bless.
It's basically, well, it's not just strength. We're going to make this as a skill challenge. Basically, 5 ideas of how you would assist the ship in freeing, and 3 successes before. How does it usually work? 3 successes before 2 failures? That sounds about right. On a failure, you will lose a day.
Ooh.
Ooh. All right.
What DC we're looking at?
It's a DC 15.
Okay, I got a little bit under 50-50 for a strength save.
I mean, I muted myself in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, you did.
A strength wave is one potential approach if you want to attempt pushing the boat, but you can propose other ideas, and they have to be unique approaches, basically.
Mhm.
So Demos could attempt pushing the boat, and someone else could do something entirely, but you can't all 4 of you attempt to push the boat.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Demos, if you want to start with that idea, that would certainly work. You will even have advantage because Xerxia will help. That seems appropriate.
All right, let's do it. Just strength check directly,
I'd say strength saving throw.
saving.
Can I
throw.
cast bless on Demos?
Uh,
Let's check.
Sure.
Cool. You can add a D4 to that.
Well, saving for with advantage is already pretty good.
Sorry, it's a strength check, of course, not a saving throw.
Well, I'll just reduce that by 4.
Yeah, 21 is still plenty. Like there's a slight lurch as you're definitely helping the boat come free.
I think guidance then.
Looks at sheep. Yeah, really not.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. I'm looking at.
This is like
no.
a montage, right? Of us doing stuff.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah. So I think what Darius will do, and maybe he'll have the sailors with it, is try to reduce the weight. So I guess this would be before Deimos does his shove. But I would like to stack, like identify the heaviest things on the ship, like maybe cargo crates that have like very dense food or something like that. Whatever like the heaviest thing besides the ship is itself that's contributing to the factor. I want to compile all of these into a small pile and then cast Tensor's floating disc. And also directing the sailors like we're going to reduce the weight, make this easier on our boy. And then so can I make like an Arcana check as far as like magically lifting weight?
I don't think the challenge here is the magic part, but rather the figuring out what would
The
be
logistics.
the lift. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
more like
Yeah.
investigate.
Could perhaps it could be? Sorry, I'm just looking at my stuff. Could it be a persuasion check, like as a leadership role, like directing the sailors and stuff, putting all the crap together? Like I don't need to know what the heaviest thing is. I need you to get it.
Motivation certainly works. Just
Organization.
to help the sailors in general. Sure. Wouldn't really accomplish making the ship lighter, but rather just to get the sailors work quicker.
Yeah, I guess maybe directing them even just to get off the boat and onto the reef. Like just he's working on directing people to reduce the weight as much as we can.
I would say, however, that would be a charisma or perhaps even performance, not a persuasion. Like they don't need to be persuaded to do things.
Amazing. I'm even better at performance, so I'm fine with that. And I roll. What did I roll for my portents today? 16 is pretty good. So might as well use that. Performance, you say? So that's a 31.
That is more than plenty. The DC is 15.
Oh.
I mean, the sailors already trying their best. Given a bit of a story, a bit of a song, certainly can work just a little bit quicker.
Maybe as part of the performance, the wind is hitting the sail in a way that it is all coming like east to west with the harp.
That is 2 successes out of 5 needed.
There's only 4 of us, though.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Also, I think I said 3 successes before, 2 failures before. It's 5 successes before, 2 failures.
5 successes, 2 failures. My God, all right.
We all got to come up with 2 things.
I don't know if I can
be creative twice.
I don't know how I can come up with one thing. My stats aren't made for stuff.
I was gonna say I only really would do persuasion, but I feel like I've already sort of done that. Like I don't know what more could be said here.
I mean, I don't want to do all of it, right? But
I just had a really stupid thought, but it's not.
because, I mean,
Well, what would Artemisia and Area do in this situation? If they just sit in a corner and wait, then sure. I mean, that's something you can do.
I mean, Artemisia would be helping Demos push, but I can't roll for that again. Because there's not really anything else. Not one to like get the sailors to do stuff. She's not charismatic in any form.
Yeah.
She's not like intelligent to like look at better approaches or figure out how to push it, like do anything smarter, I guess. This is like something completely out of her sort of wheelhouse. So she would naturally just go with Demos and push. It's stuck on a thing, you push it off the thing. It's pretty simple. But yeah.
Could Ariad like try and use sort of persuasion to more so encourage people? Because if we're trying to decrease weight, there's gonna be some heavy stuff to lift. But try and be like, you and you get together and you can lift. Come on, a little more. We can keep going. The strong rowers, you row every day. You move this ship already.
I mean, the sailors are already plenty motivated with what Darius is doing. There's only so much you can push them with just well-meaning words.
Yeah, I gotta do flat rolls then.
While you guys think about that, I do have an idea for a second. At least try and resolve it faster. Which is what I was talking about before about the wind. Could I make an Arcana check, basically using the harp and the control weather spell to get the wind to basically dip down and then come back up so that the sails are like also kind of pulling?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Then that's what we'll do. Wait, hang on before I do that. Nah, those are not great.
I mean, again, it's not going to be something you can solve in the 10 minutes of that ability.
Oh, okay, so never mind. I'll ignore it then. And I still got a 16.
Yeah, 16 is plenty.
So there we go. It's 2 passes, so we only need 2 more ideas to work.
Yeah, creating a few waves, a few like timed pushes of wind. You don't really have fine control, but you can at least encourage a bit of a more wavy wind.
It's certainly not working against us.
I mean, yeah, the only
So we've tried pushing, right?
Hmm.
But this thing is stuck on rocks. What if we just remove the rocks?
Yeah, I was thinking
No?
that. I was
Yeah.
like, do I need to Eldritch Blast those
We
rocks
had
out of the
advanced
way?
equipment. Let's just like remove the rocks and like cut a slope under there. We can breathe water. It's fine. Go
Yeah,
down
maybe
under
like a
there, break some
spell
rocks.
attack roll. Yeah.
Make the thing much easier to break, right? It's a mining operation.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. What skill would you suggest for that?
Difficulty would be breaking rocks, I guess.
Would you
Oh,
accept an
use
attack roll or a spell attack with like a?
It has to be a skill of sorts.
I'd use athletic.
I think
Athletic for it.
maybe athletics. I think it would be more straight up strength. Like it doesn't really involve climbing, or I guess it does involve swimming a little bit, but the water is very calm. That's not exactly the difficulty. So straight strength. I think seems reasonable.
Would I be proficient with it?
Uh,
I'm using a weapon after all.
yeah,
Elemental.
if you're proficient with the weapon, sure.
Mhm. So I know my Rod of Lordly Might has a battering ram mode, gives +10 to strength checks made to break stuff.
I mean, are you using that weapon or are you using one of the elemental weapons? I suppose they would both make the task vastly easier, so sure. Yeah, I feel like that bonus is appropriate here.
All right. Then he will transform it into a handheld battering ram that strikes like a a siege engine against the rock.
Yeah, I was
In the
thinking like,
Crashbook server,
no,
it probably looks like
can't-
he's just really strong.
we shouldn't destroy a coral reef. They're in danger.
Yeah, whatever, hippie. All right, so that'll be a 32.
Yes. Coral reef is shattered. And with the lack of industrialization in Philea, there's plenty of them, don't worry.
Oh, good. I was like, no. I was like, I could just destroy it, and I was like, no, we shouldn't.
Some would call this a barrier reef, and specifically plus
Yeah.
10 to break through barriers. So
All right, that's 4 successes.
Is there any way I could use a spell like Thunder Wave? It's a thunder spell, but it pushes 10 away from you. Would I be able to try and get in position and push out the ship with that?
I think that sounds workable. I guess that would be perhaps an Arcana check. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything Arcana, but I feel like that's what we would do. Which way? Yeah, come on. No, no.
Yeah, you blast into the water, but all you really do is make a lot of noise.
Well, weird underwater noise.
Yeah. The ship shakes a bit, but doesn't really move forward. Four to 1 then.
I'm looking at this rope I have in equipment and trying to think, is there maybe some place, like, you know, if we're able to push off this reef, maybe there is somewhere that we can sort of use the rope to sort of, I guess, pull it off as well. Because, I mean, reefs aren't just like one blob. They're clusters, right? So if perhaps the sailors, as good as they are at swimming, can get to another place with some rope, they can pull as much as Dumos can push.
The issue would be that you need a lot of rope to pull the ship as massive as the Ultras without just the rope snapping.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't really a place like in front of the Ultras to stand. Like
Artemisia could run on water. Could you just run on the spot on water carrying a rope?
I mean, all it says is you can move along vertical surfaces and across liquids on your turn without falling during the move. So I guess so long as I go back and forth a little bit, like serpentine,
Eve.
I could technically keep going on the water.
I'll let you attempt it, but you'll have disadvantage because it's a bit ridiculous.
It's a bit. I mean,
Give me a strength check with disadvantage.
strength check. This, you know, my greatest of stats. At a incredible +0. Well, that's a failure.
No. And with that, the idea's exhausted. You're gonna free the ship eventually, but it's gonna take a few hours to the point where you will basically lose an entire day.
Losing these days very quickly.
Been a full 59 days. Oh, I guess. I mean, plus side. Darius, your Sentinel shield has arrived.
Oh, lovely. We'll equip that. That's very important.
Time to do the perception check.
Yeah, and that means that the passive perception goes up by 5. And I get advantage on initiative.
Let's keep working.
Yeah. If it's a new day, I'll cast Sending again to Aesop, saying more or less, Jezebel's accounted for, stuck in Nethersea, must find the others. I believe them to be the true identity of the five. Re-examine all notes you have.
I don't think you'll get a response, although mostly because he's probably somewhat flabbergasted at the assertion.
Yep. That's fine. Maybe he'll respond eventually. It's basically saying like, yeah, let's redouble let's start the research, the investigation again. Like, this is important, my guy.
But yeah, you lose a day, but on the third day, you can continue traveling,
Amazing.
which of course involves another d20.
Yay. I'll do it this time. 2.
And it is an uneventful day.
Good to get that out of the way.
All right. Then, during the morning of the, I suppose, 4th day of travel now, you do spot a, well, comparatively magnificent island. Lush to the point of redefining the word, really. Massive oak trees covering a very hilly and rather large island. Basically, you can't even spot any of the grass or beach or anything because it's just so covered in various green foliage, almost glowing. And even being quite far away, you hear plenty of sounds of songbirds and well, all kinds of calls of animals and such. It's well, some of the sailors perhaps a bit skeptically, or perhaps not skeptically, would consider this island to be a hunter's dream, really. It seems to just be overflowing with things you could eat if you were hungry.
Let's not eat all of Dahlia's precious animals, guys.
Vain.
Ariad, give me a perception check.
All right.
Looks over to Xerxia, salivating.
Perception. Oh. This. Hmm.
Yeah. Ariad sees plenty of birds, some of them even sort of flying towards the Ultras as if having really no fear whatsoever. But they are not like attacking birds or anything, they're just apparently curious little critters.
I haven't seen a lot of people. Yeah, Ayed will hover down from her. Join the others. That looks weirdly peaceful compared to the rest of the world being preparing for war. Perhaps we should still be careful, even though it looks so.
So what exactly are we here for? Just take a stroll?
And see what there is, I guess.
Yeah, we don't know. This is connected to the Mother Titan. I don't know that we could expect to have an idea of what we would find here. Hopefully something useful. Information, perhaps?
Well, let's go. Set foot upon this land. And
Yeah, I suppose we should look for the tree. It's the only thing we really know exists here.
Yeah, while you can't spot it exactly, you're fairly certain that the tree in the center is just much larger than it appears, as most of it is hidden in either hills or, well, some of the other significant trees, but it could very well be the tree you're thinking of.
Well, I suppose the dragons and Demos could like scout from the air, maybe area it as well. Like we have a lot of people who can
Yeah.
fly. I'll send my 2 with them as well.
works for me.
Yeah.
Go with the Xerxia.
It'll just be me and Artemisia strolling along the ground.
You know, it is what it is. Eventually, we'll be all majestic dragons. So,
Oh yeah, that's true.
the ones we raised from hatchlings.
You know, I'm extremely happy for Demos and everything, but he comes in and changes his mind about the Dragonlords and immediately has a medium-sized mound.
Oh, it's rude.
I don't know. He didn't do it on purpose. And it's a heartwarming story, but still.
Right. Well, Demos on Xerxia, scouting about. Give me-
Ariad's with him as well.
And Arid, of course. Both of you give me perception checks.
Not that I'm very good at perception.
Can Juniper help Ariad?
Hmm.
She can look. She can hoot.
I suppose, sure.
That should have been a 6, not a 2. So
6. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
all the
better.
difference.
Wait, so does that mean I have advantage?
Yes. Oh, I'll also cast guidance on you because I can cast cantrips through her.
Oh, I don't know what that
this
means.
this again
but-
is more of a long-term scouting. Like guidance
It
lasts for a
doesn't matter.
minute. That's not going to work.
Okay.
Let's
Both
hope
Demos,
that the dragon sees something.
I mean, both Demos and Arid mostly just see canopy. There's the occasional clearing full of almost golden greenish grass, looking quite soft and just nice. Like you don't see anything that would really, I mean, raise your interest or your danger sense whatsoever, really. And you can definitely confirm that the tree in the center of the island only looks. How do I phrase this? The tree in the center of the island is massive, to the point where if it were on the same height as the other trees, it would dwarf them completely. But it's in a bit of a valley. There's a bit of a pond running around it, so it's surrounded by hills, almost cradling it. Yeah, it's idyllic to say the least.
let's fly there and see what's in the tree.
Meanwhile, on the ground, Artemisia and Darius, are you trying to walk towards the center of the island, or where exactly are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, I suppose we're walking in the direction that the flying party is headed in,
Yeah.
unless they come and correct our course.
Yes. The Ultras basically makes landfall at what is a pristine beach of just white sand.
Lovely.
There's a few nice spots where you can both enjoy sun and some of the shade from the canopy and such. And walking deeper into the forest, it's going to be very difficult to keep track of anything flying overhead as the trees are very dense. Navigation, a bit tricky. However, on the other side, on the plus side, you do spot a few things. Doesn't even require a perception check. There are fruits aplenty on the trees, both olives and apples that just look Well, as if they were painted rather than grown, without any sort of imperfection, glowing a healthy red and green, the apples, and olives as olives do.
Beautiful.
Interesting.
I think we should leave them alone now.
You should leave them alone.
No, that was terrible. Yeah, certainly appreciate them.
As you're walking, things like a group of deer approach you, completely unafraid, just sort of sniffing.
Aw. I pet them.
But yeah, finding your way will be a bit difficult and would require a survival check to find your way. You can also give me perception checks.
Can I look through? Because I can just, as an action, go into Juniper's eyes. So can I use that as a way to help navigate from the air, from the sky?
The issue is you can't see Juniper, and Juniper can't see you. You've no point of reference there.
Right. Then maybe Darethax will still with the others. Maybe I'll just resummon and then shoot her up. Send her up to help from above.
I suppose that'll help. I'd let you have advantage on survival.
Amazing. Survival.
That was my survival roll.
Oh.
So 20 on the perception, 21 on survival.
All right.
Check.
Artemisia then. Thinks she knows roughly where to go. It's difficult to navigate, but not like there's nothing actively trying to steer you away from it. In fact, in the direction that Artemisia thinks you have to go, perhaps on a little bit of a rise in front of you, there's a bit of an odd sight, as there appears to be a goat just standing there, quite majestically, in fact.
Is it John?
And it's not. It's in fact, well, I wouldn't call it an ordinary goat. It is in fact a ram, and it has magnificent golden fur.
Oh God. Is it the golden fleece ram? Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think it is. Get him!
Get him! I can probably outpace a ram.
Do we want to do this? I don't know. Something tells me that like disrupting nature or whatever is going to be really bad.
Do I want to?
Like the tree is watching over. I do want to.
I do want to as well.
It's like a great Titan tree that is like watching over this extremely peaceful, idyllic land. If we just come here and attack stuff, then...
Why do you want to, like, if you've never seen like, why do you see a golden goat and it's like, I want to catch the goat? Like,
it's
gold.
It's a component for one of the items that Vulcan can build.
It actually is, yeah. Well, what is that item?
We would have been told about it.
The boots of levitation. That sounds fucking incredible. I mean, yeah. Sounds great.
Artemisia looks up, narrowing her eyes. Then they would never be able to fly away from me. Oh, I'm coming for you.
I mean,
I'm staying out of this. If you want to hunt it, then you're on your own.
This won't be a hunt. This will be a catching. I don't know how fast rams are, but I guarantee I'm faster.
Well, let's put that to the test, shall we?
Sure.
I cast guidance on the ram.
You have to touch it first.
How fast is Artemisia?
Every turn I can go 150 feet.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
All right. So I'm gathering that you're gonna start chasing the ram.
Let's start chasing the ram. This is gonna be fun.
Such a bad idea.
It's I mean, I'm not gonna kill the ram.
No, but
No, you know, I got rope. I'm gonna like hog tie it or something.
But what are you gonna use the fleas for if you're not gonna kill it? You're just gonna start fucking shaping it every now and
just
Yeah,
gonna
then.
shear, just gonna shear it and let it go.
You know, you can shear sheep. That's the whole point.
I don't think that's well,
I
maybe.
mean, you can't shear a goat though.
Why not? Surely there's goat wool. This is gonna be my weird search of the day. Goat wool.
Yeah.
Yeah, cashmere.
Goats have hair.
It's cashmere.
Sheep and rams have
Yeah, but I don't.
wool.
I
I don't
think
know.
that they.
This cashmere wool is obtained from the cashmere goat. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but do they
Yeah.
kill the goat?
No, surely not. That's No, they shear them. They shear them. I can tell. There is a picture of a man shearing a goat
Oh yeah. Look at that
on the
picture right there.
Wikipedia. That's a majestic looking goat.
It does look shareable.
Ram.
Right.
Like that-
Well,
that
if it's
top
a
layer.
golden cashmere goat, then there you go.
We don't know.
I want head back. I mean,
He's using it for the fashion.
We don't know. I mean, it looks cool. I'm just curious more than anything. Is it actual gold, or is it just colored gold? These are questions
It's
I
a
need to know.
knockoff ram.
Knockoff ram. Ugh.
in China.
I don't know.
Pretty.
I'll put up a chase, but I'm not gonna do a huge thing. If it's a challenging run, I'm not gonna push that hard. I'm not that invested in catching a golden ram.
Actually, give me an insight check. You start your run. The goat definitely, the golden ram definitely does not seem to want to get caught.
It's an illusion.
You
Well-
know, when I roll a 1 on insight.
But Artemisia just get quite close. It might be a bit more unexpectedly challenging as the goat appears to. Well, I keep saying goat. The ram doesn't just seem to be really fast on foot. It also just seems to gallop through the air at times at even faster speeds. Really, it's
Which
it's
Artemisia would be able
almost in like Artemisia's reach before it just speeds up ever so slightly more before dropping back into reach.
Yeah, then she'll fall for that like twice and then whatever, then move on. There's tomfoolery about.
All right. So twice means like 400 feet away from Darius.
Yeah, I guess. At like the speed of monk.
Yeah, for her, that's not gonna. It's not like that takes.
No.
Well, if you abort the chase, the ram sort of stops at the edge of Artemisia's vision on another rise it found somewhere towards the center of the island. Before realizing that Artemisia doesn't want to play, she leaves.
You know, I appreciate a goat with a sense of humor. Also, if it's a ram, isn't that a male sheep?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes.
the whole
So you
goat
can't-
conversation was pointless.
Not even. That's where she stops. It's not even cashmere.
It's not even cashmere. It's just plain old,
I'm out.
plain old wool.
Like-
Ugh.
It's probably just colored goldy
Yeah,
too.
it's just dipped in dye or something.
Oh my God.
You can see the seam on the backside. Yeah.
It's flaking off it, leaving a trail.
It's a weave. It's not even real hair.
Terrible.
It's a goat with a toupee.
Oh god. All
Now
right.
isn't that a message?
Yeah. All right. I'll find Darius again and shake my head and say, "Magic goat. It could fly through the air."
That's probably for the best. It was fun to watch you sprint, though.
She shrugs and says, I seem to be getting faster and faster as the weeks go by. Which, of course, she has. Then I guess we'll continue our long walk.
Ariad and Demos, meanwhile, can certainly fly around over the island, although most of its details are hidden behind thick canopy and the various like clearings and such. You see a variety of animals for sure, like boars and deers and all kinds of things just grazing, really. Perhaps even spotting an occasional lion just wandering through the clearing. Give me another set of perception checks, you two.
Yeah. Aha! Above 10. Well above 10.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
Demos doesn't spot it, but Ariad, looking around the forest and such, thinks she saw an odd sight. A horse, a white horse, above the trees, with wings, apparently.
Did you see that, Dimas?
What? Trees? Yeah.
Dimas!
There's
She
quite-
takes to the man
All
talking.
trees. So many trees.
I saw a white horse above the trees with wings. As she says it, she thinks to herself, that sounds very not plausible.
Like a horse siren.
Demos would recognize that, however, immediately as the mythical Pegasus.
Ooh.
A horse siren?
What does Demos know about the Pegasus?
I mean, everyone in Thalia sort of knows about things like, the Cerberus who guards things, and the all the variety of mythical creatures, and the Pegasus ranks among them as they are a symbol of good.
Oh, where was it?
Above the trees. Can I point the direction, Jeep?
Sure, you can point the rough direction.
I think this way.
Talk to it. It might be very wise.
What?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the Pegasus are very wise. They answer questions for travelers.
Okay.
Axel looks like she wants to tell you something, but can't and is mad about it.
Let's go. And then he will.
It's
Rush in that
after the
direction.
Ariad will look to Juniper and be like, can
Juniper's
you
gone, but Dareth Axel's
Oh.
still there.
can you communicate with Darius? At least if you asked, tell him about this. It seems important.
I guess Juniper like barks. What does a young or a baby dragon do?
Like a yip.
Yeah,
yip?
I'd say
I guess
yeah.
that's
More koboldy, but sure.
Yeah.
Rah!
I'm gonna take that as a yes, and then to follow Dimas.
She nods. I guess flies back to find probably spots Juniper somewhere flying and
Yeah, we try to follow the flying horse.
Right. It appears as if it had what is the word? Doven down back into through the canopy.
Dividing it.
Yeah. As if it had landed once more. So most likely way to drag it down would probably be the old-fashioned way.
All right, so we do that. Let's land. I'm just gonna jump off the dragon and like touch some leaves and smell them.
Give
Or
me a
blood.
survival check.
I mean, actually, I have something in
Nine.
survival.
Yeah, there are certainly signs of animals passing, but you can't really identify specifics.
15.
Ariad, on the other hand, does think that these tracks over there look very recent, and it's somewhat odd that they just sort of appear and then continue, which, however, would make a lot of sense for a flying thing, so it's probably the way.
She'll use her navigation skills to try and track it, I suppose. Can they like if they look up, can they see like places where it would have broken through the foliage, or is it very much closed off?
Knowing that this was probably the place where it landed, yeah, you can spot signs.
She'll show them to Dimas. Like, if we see anything like that, it might be another place. Is it important enough that we should try and find the others?
I mean, I'm sure they find something equally important. We'll cover more ground if we split up.
All right.
Okay.
Do the two of you continue that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're looking for a nice horse, I mean, yeah.
Isn't it freeing just to be able to be like, nope, just flying up high enough, and then we can see the boat. Indeed. Yeah. Do you want us to do another survival check, Jeep?
One's enough.
Okay.
Doesn't take more than a few minutes of following the tracks that Ariad spotted them to see, in fact, a majestic white horse with equally majestic white wings just grazing on one of the clearings full of golden grass, not a care in its world. It sort of glances over towards you as it chews on a bundle of grass, perhaps letting out a slight whinny, although barely audible from the distance you're at. It certainly noticed you, without too much difficulty.
Raise his hand. Hello. I am Demas, one of the legendary heroes, famed and prophesied to take down the Titans. We've come here looking for answers about the nature of the gods, the 5 gods, that is. Might I beseech your wisdom, any knowledge you might give me?
Give me an insight check.
Can I do that too?
On point with these insights.
Sure.
This is the one thing Dimas seemed to be good at somehow.
Just really in tune.
24. Haha.
Both of you get the distinct impression that it's not just a horse and it does understand, but you're pretty sure it can't actually talk. It's mostly a very smart horse.
Can you show us where on this island we might find something that can help with such answers?
It doesn't really break eye contact as it chews on a satisfying bundle of grass, but doesn't make a move to assist you either.
Very wise. Sometimes the these masters. They want you to figure out the answer yourself because the journey is the way to being really smart, I guess.
Hmm.
That's part of what's going on here.
As someone who used to be a winged carrier, I can tell you that journeys are not always greater if you take them without guidance. But, well, she looks at the horse like they don't know what's supposed to. Don't think that it can speak.
Xerxia lets out an ever so quiet growl as she says, I don't think it likes me very much.
Just looks back at it and says, that's a rude assumption. Yes, she may be a dragon and may have some morally compromised opinions and have certainly taken actions that could be said to be amoral in the past and probably would do so again, will future. But that's no reason to consider to not like her.
The horse snorts as if amused.
So please, powerful, legendary Pegasus, we are looking for some sort of information here that might inform us about the big questions in life and existence.
The Pegasus finishes its meal of a bundle of grass before spreading its wings and taking off again.
Ah, finally.
Suppose we
follow it.
follow it.
Yep.
Yeah, following it, it appears to basically sort of fly towards roughly the center of the island before once again diving into the canopy.
Follow it eagerly.
It does appear as if it is making it very hard to follow it.
Oh, of course it is. We have to earn it.
Are we sure that this is worth our time? We could just go to the tree. It seems like it's where we'll end up anyway.
Emerson looks at the horse. What is it doing as it lands? Like,
As it lands again, it's just sort of looking over its shoulder at you with what you think might be a bit of a dismissing expression, really, before it just goes about doing horse things. Doesn't seem to care too much about you.
just looks at it. Sort of not sure. Decide. Yeah, maybe we should look at the tree.
Yeah, alright, we'll just like, wave to the horse and then go up again.
Sure. As
Yeah,
he's flying, Demon's will say to Ariad. You know, I suppose the wisest person ever said that if ever we needed help, well, we would be the only people who had the answers. Otherwise, the world wouldn't need heroes.
Was that a Velas saying?
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what the Pegasus meant as well, that it wouldn't tell us where to go because if it knew, then the world wouldn't need us, right? It means that whatever we do is the wisest possible thing we could do.
I
Because
don't know
we're
that
us.
the Pegasi was trying to tell us anything other than, hey, this is good food, or
Ah, we can agree to disagree.
certainly.
There's no right answer.
Anyway, let's head to the middle.
Maybe
I don't
find the
like
others
being
there.
split up too long. Again.
As both of you, both groups approach the middle, I guess you inevitably meet up. It's certainly a difficult valley to really look at from the skies, but it's the canopy is high enough to give it more of a more open feel than it actually is. There's a bit of a pond, of a river running next to a truly massive oak tree in the center of a fairly deep valley, and yeah, it's has a bit of a chamber feel more than a forest feel, really. It's the same serene atmosphere as the rest of the island has. Just the sounds of water, the occasional bird just really landing on your shoulder without a care in the world. Although at the edge of perhaps this chamber, this clearing, you do also spot, well, large predators, specifically a what's the word? A pride of lions, observing you from a distance. Apparently led by a massive and, well, as majestic as the ram, at least, a massive golden lion, towering over its pride.
I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not, whatever. They can make a move if they want.
They don't, at the moment, seem to have hostile intentions, although you suspect that they are most definitely showing themselves intentionally.
I wave at them. It's very friendly.
Darius, are you able to somehow communicate with animals?
No, not unless they're intelligent enough and consent to me reading their minds.
Yeah.
Eudora could do that, but I mean, I suppose maybe Juniper might understand something or be able to interpret it. She is made of her.
Well, I wonder if they'll let us get closer to the tree. I suppose there's a way to find out. You know,
One very obvious way to find out.
yeah, it will slowly, try and go to the tree.
Yeah.
They don't seem bothered by your attempt to approach the tree.
Cool.
Cool.
Go over there, like put a hand on it if you can.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that, Larry? I cut out for a second.
She will just go to the tree and put like a hand on the bark.
Right. As soon as you touch the tree, you feel, well, bark, obviously, but also a flash of something fairly indescribable. It is not a presence, not so much as it is like a sentience or a voice or anything that you can determine, but certainly a something almost unbearingly grand, to the point of, well, as if you're speaking not to a tree but to a world soul, to something that exists and is has faults that are so different from what Ariad thinks faults should be that it is perhaps overwhelming for just a moment. There's certainly a communication of sorts, but it's not Ariad hearing voices or a voice or words and responding, but rather an instant snap of something looking at Ariad's very essence there, really. And every thought, every word ever spoken. And whatever this presence is, it seems overall okay with it. There's a moment where Ariad is aware that she can ask a question and would probably get an answer.
I think she's stunned for a little bit, just like because she's met the five, and while she has learned to respect them, she never felt like some godly awe at them. But to this, she like this is undoubtedly a absolutely true entity, and I think she's almost like a little surprised because these are not the gods that she like. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, what you're getting here is a cast of divination that whatever this presence might be is going to answer for you. You can ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days, and you will get a truthful reply, which, however, might be somewhat cryptic.
Well, that's useful.
Is that one each or one as a group?
So far, it's only Ariad.
All right, well, go. Aaron.
Okay, let me get in character for a bit here. Okay, what did she ask about? Is it like sheep? Is it like an instant switch of thoughts, or is there like time to think, or is it just she
Well,
asks, like she sends out a feeler, and the first thing that Arya comes to her mind is what it's going to be?
it appears that Ariad was judged by this presence, and that happened instantly. But she can, of course, take her time to formulate a question, or just disregard the offer entirely.
Because there are two things that she would ask about, either the weapons or Lutheria's whereabouts. But I think that her instinct would be to ask where they can find Lutheria.
We already know where we can find Lutheria.
Well, we don't know an exact location.
Yeah, we know she's on a barge and the barge the barge moves. Right?
Yes, but this is about the future, right?
I suppose, like where she'll be on what exact day. That's there's something to
that. All right. The answer is that if you were to travel to the waterfall that Hezebel told you about, you would have to wait a day, and then Lutheria would appear. If you want to, however, find her immediately, you would have to travel. Let's see, what direction is it? You would have to travel west from there instead.
West from this island?
West from the waterfall in the Never Sea.
Right. Does the communication stop there? Like, I mean, not given divination, but just like
Yeah, as soon as that answer is given, it just feels like a normal tree at this point.
I think Arya would kneel in front of it.
Hmm.
And like, thank you. She'll stand up and look to the others.
What happened?
I think I had a kind of short communication with. Well, I think people would call it Thylea, but it is. I don't know that there are words that can probably describe it as a. I have never. The power that I felt is immense. I asked it where we might find Lutheria, and it answered me that we could either, if we wanted to try and find her immediately, go to the waterfall and travel west, or we could wait there for a day and she would appear. It I think she looked at me, judged me. I guess I was worthy. I don't know if the same will happen if any of you touch it.
There's only one way to find out.
Indeed.
What questions would we want to ask?
You must touch the tree.
Demos has a very similar experience of just feeling something massive, but at the same time not hostile or overbearing, but more protective, considerate, looking at him, and not just at his like physical self, but rather what he has done, what he has said, what he has fought. And they are most definitely concerns that become obvious. The hunt for fame, perhaps, the taking higher priority than, well, other things, perhaps at least in the past. The hunt for power, regardless of consequences, concerns. But overall, it seems that this presence is okay with what Demos has been doing, has done, perhaps has turned into. He can ask a question too.
About the next 7 days, or
Yeah, it works as divination. You ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days. In Arid's case, the goal was find Lutheria, which you had planned for the next 7 days. So that was a valid question.
I would like to ask about the madness weapons or armor from a theory, but I think what he would actually ask, since it's a mental thing, would be something like, how will the Elder Titans react when we kill Sidon and Lutheria?
It's a bit of a rustle of tree branches and leaves, but of an ominous effect, perhaps, to the others. Demos feels concern, as the answer, perhaps that is an answer in and of itself. He won't so much receive words, but the feeling of worry about not what this presence would do, but a different presence, a perhaps equally powerful, if not more so, presence. But at the same time, also necessity of it, really.
Hmm.
Perhaps even the feeling that it's a bit inevitable. It's stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's not a good situation.
Yeah. All right. Take a step back and look at the others. Sort of give us like a slight nod to himself, really.
Hmm.
Interesting. He'll step away to let the others have their turn.
I mean, sure. Artemisia will touch the tree. See what she gets from it.
Yeah, Artemisia feels the presence. Looking through her. There's no particular moment that the presence seems to take concerns with, although perhaps it is a bit of a concern about what came before Artemisia. Influences from other places that are driving her to priorities that are perhaps somewhat selfish. However, the presence approves of, well, her rejection of it so far. She too can ask a question.
The weapons that were forged from Lutheria's madness. Where, in whose possession are they, or where are they?
The answer will be Lutheria keeps them close.
Ooh. Thought Sidon had them.
I thought so too.
That was so. If we go for Lutheria straight away,
Yeah.
then we can still get them.
Yeah. That's the right move.
I was worried because the prophecy of where to find her sort of meant that we'd have to go like right now. But if then we might miss our chance to get them. But it's apparently not.
Okay. Artemisia will, I guess, give like a mental thanks, whether it matters or not, and then we'll sort of step away.
Oh boy, this is gonna be bad. I will get down and kneel before the tree, on both knees, sort of in a meditative stance, and then touch the roots.
The presence in Darius's case focuses very much on one particular event, a chain of events, and its consequences. His difficult relationship with Versi and the way it has ended, really. Although where Darius might have expected judgment of some sort, there's more empathy, really. The feeling that this presence too knows of difficult relationships where the involved parties do things that, well, in retrospect might seem extreme, but they were motivated by the right causes, really, the right intentions. And perhaps the retrospect of the retrospect is what matters here. To look back on what has been done and said and see why it has been done and said, and the presence doesn't blame him.
I think Darius cries for a bit at that.
It could have gone better. but so many things could go better.
Hmm.
He too can ask a question.
Can I forego divination and ask a question of the past?
Yes, but I won't guarantee an answer.
Okay. I'm going to go on a leap of faith here and speak as if it is fact. And say, how did the dragons steal from your children?
I don't think he'll get an answer. It's not so much that the presence cuts them off, but more that the presence retreats. Not quickly, just sort of phasing out, suggesting that perhaps this is a silly question.
Wow. Rejected by a tree.
Oh, I tried.
Could give me an insight check, but it's a bit of a DC considering you're dealing with an Elder Titan.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely am going to see if I get lucky with rigging these. Nope. I guess it's too late to trance. I will just roll a flat insight, see if I get lucky. 19.
Darius thinks he feels the slightest tinge of perhaps the presence thinking about something that it doesn't enjoy and not wanting to spread anything related to that.
Okay, cool. So would it be fair to say, like, could he interpret this as basically the one reaction I'm looking for it to not be is the fuck? Like this is a wild suggestion that the tree has never contemplated. Is it fair to say that that is not that? That it's like something bitter or doesn't want to talk about?
Darius may choose to interpret that however he likes.
Okay. I'm going to. Because you wouldn't be bitter about it if it was something that was like a wild, crazy conspiracy theory. Okay, I take my hand away from the tree. Well then, that was certainly something.
Did you all get what you came for?
More than I expected.
Yeah. I learned that she looks to the tree. Thalia won't act when we kill Eutheria and Sidon. But Kentimane will.
Harriet nods.
He will come for us.
I've thought as much.
Yet, it looks to tree and says, Thalia does not see another way for us to go. What we must do, well, we must do. And I suppose dealing with Kentimane will be one of the consequences.
Yeah. I think that she still loves him, but does not agree with him on matters as extreme as these. She seemed to resonate with my situation with Fercy. I got as close to a confirmation to get of what the 5 did to the Titans. But I don't know how.
Well, I suppose once the Oath of Peace is up, they might be able to talk about it.
It might be too late by then, but yeah.
Why too late? You'll still be fighting.
Yes, but who knows what the process would be to strip the power of death from Etheria. It might take longer than we would have time for.
I have been thinking. The weapon. Her own weapon can hold souls, right?
Yes, your people are in there, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, they are. I don't know if we can free them and still have the weapon, but if there was a way to trap Lutheria in it.
Hmm.
I do not want to condemn my people to more suffering.
Hmm.
I think they have suffered enough for this.
Yeah. It's worth noting that doing that will benefit the Fates somehow, since they gave you the information for free, but we will deal with those consequences. We have to free your people. It's not right to leave them in there. But I don't know if we break it or open it somehow, if it will be closable again. Let's hope so.
We'll find a way. I don't know if Titans can actually be killed. The prophecy does specify defeating. And the other Titans seem to have been captured by the twins and not killed, which suggests that that might be something we have to
Mhm.
settle for.
It doesn't even say that. It just says that we may all get swept aside.
Since I think it might be something, it should be something that that Darius definitely remembers.
Mhm.
It is said that Xander's axe can kill titans.
Really?
That's a
That is
good thing one of us
myth,
had it.
the myth
we go.
behind it.
Okay. So, well, we definitely have a way to kill them. Gesturing towards the reforged Axe of Xander monk shenanigans. Artemisia will have to deal the final blow. The only thing that still worries me is the possibility of what happens after death. But we can kill them. You can be reassured of that at least.
Good.
Once they're dead, we'll have to deal with Kentimane. I don't know how quickly he will act. This pretty much confirmed that he will.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a lot to take in and some very heavy news, but this is worth coming here.
Yeah, I think so.
To be honest, even with all the information, I think that the news that Thylia herself understands that something must be done might be the best. That is calming.
Yeah. I think I admire her level of understanding and empathizing with people. She is very tough to judge someone. It's a noble character trait.
Harriet looks at Darius like she assumes there's some story there. She's not gonna.
Oh, I see that. I'm like, oh, she was just a lot more understanding than I expected.
Good.
I suppose it helps being able to see the full picture of things, but even so.
Well, her own situation is not exactly uncomplicated, I suppose.
Well, you know what we have to do. We know that we have to do it soon if her guidance is to not expire. I think we're actually going to be hunting down a Titan. It's a strange thought.
We know where she'll be.
And we know the weapons are on, well, I guess probably on her barge somewhere. If she keeps them close, and she always must be there, somewhere there. If we can sneak on board, maybe we could look for them first.
That could be an idea.
All right. Unless anyone has more business here, I guess we can start heading back.
It's good. She'll revere the tree, thank it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, let's return.
Yeah, I think she will like pluck a feather from one of her wings and leave it by the foot of the tree. It's like some sort of token. Go back to the boat.
All right, I think that's where we'll stop the session.
As we go to
Crazy.
fight Lutheria.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see, the days are certainly rushing past. How many days do we have left? Let me check.
I don't think I added the days for this travel, so let me add those.
And I think this counts.
And
Itself
then
counts.
this
as a day.
counts as a day, so we have 8 days until the end of the Oath of Peace.
So we basically have to travel to
Just enough to fight two Titans.
then immediately go to Sidon's tower.
Pretty much.
Very much.
It's here, guys. After like over a year in real life, going to face both Titans. Madness.
Also, Sarah, if you said to Eri, we know where Lufera is, but asking that question actually most definitely saved you a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. No, for sure it did. I'm not judging that.
And it seems like every day will count.
Yeah.
At least we know where to find a Pegasus.
Maybe I'll retire to this island if there's nothing to do.
You're right. Seems like a good idea. Even it's like,
Oh.
don't hunt the wildlife. Well, I can live off of like tropical fruits.
Oh crap! I just remembered there was something I meant to do in Mitros and I completely forgot.
I mean, what is it?
I wanted to talk to Valis briefly. Can I retcon that?
If it's an easy topic that doesn't have consequences that would have developed to this point, then probably.
No, I don't think so. What I would ask is if she could forward a message to Versi for me, which would be that basically I've run out of options. I can't find a way to help Darathaxel get back to her form, the form that she wants to be. But Versi can control how time affects a body. And I don't have to be there. I'm sure that, the new head of the Dragonlords could perhaps escort Darathaxel or something, can figure something out that doesn't involve me being there. But if it's possible for her to do the other way around and help Darathaxel, then I would beg her to do it. But I can't contact her myself, so I would need to ask Valis to forward that for me.
She'll hesitate a bit, perhaps questioning the wisdom behind contacting Versi really at
Again,
all.
it's not for me. And again, I will do whatever I have to make it work and be as unpleasant as possible. But I've tried every other avenue.
But Valis will try and tell him that she too can't contact Versi. Not because she's dead or anything, but she's just gone.
Well, that's concerning. Well, I appreciate it if you do find a way to her. Thank you, my queen. And I bow and leave the throne room, or wherever she was, the little side chamber or something.
Yeah, she conducts most of her business in side chambers rather than in the opulent throne room.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me retrofit that.
So I just noticed on your sheet here, you're really getting a second arcane cannon. I mean, why not?
I think what happened there is
we didn't have anything else to put on it.
No. I think what happened there is the arcane cannon was on the list, and then we gained this arcane cannon from the Time Island, and we just never removed the arcane cannon from the list.
And we also had an infinite supply of the material that it needed, so why not? Unless someone wants something else.
I was gonna say, I'd like to look at one of those shields, but I don't know that we have anything to make it with.
Well, if you look on potential item list, we've got the list of the components that we currently have.
Yeah, but I think it's I think Dima should get whatever armor he needs first.
Yeah, I think the arcane cannon will always be pushed to the bottom of the list, but if we have time and Vulcan's still doing stuff, then why not?
Yeah. True. We have two. I mean, eventually we'll get 6 on either side, and then 2 front, 2 back.
I mean, it would certainly make the Ultras very capable.
Light spells
We
just
just
spin
need
around,
to
shooting
stay
in all
here.
directions.
And one day it takes Vulcan to make a Pegasus brittle, and then
Then he could ride a Pegasus. Yeah, we know. I mean, loading up the Ultras with arcane cannons would be pretty cool.
Just need to make it fly somehow.
Yeah.
Shooting lasers.
Oh, that was quite a session. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Good to be back. It's good to be back.
Should we play again in 2 weeks?
We can tentatively plan for next week.
My God.
I'm actually. I need to stop being so vague, so none of you can make plans thinking that there might be a session. There will be a session if you want it.
Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So I've got all the prep done. There's no reason.
Oh, you're telling me that Lutheria's barge has been prepped for a while? You
We need
don't
to
say.
guarantee where we're gonna go, right? Lutheria, then Sidon.
Yeah, yeah. I think so.
And then
Oh,
probably
actually,
Mythos. So
yeah. Race back in time for the fleet to arrive.
well, I don't think they're gonna be hanging out just outside, so it might take them a little time. And the Ultras is very fast.
Yeah, I bet they're probably like they've timed their like they've set their course so that they will arrive on our shores like right after the expiration date.
Mhm.
Like they've figured out how much time it'll take and just worked backwards from there.
Yeah.
Or
So
they're gonna be camping outside for a couple days to demoralize the troops.
it's not impossible.
That's
Well,
what
that
I
would be
would
the
do.
same as the fight, right? Because if you're just outside, then our people will attack them,
Yeah,
and they won't
But
have
are
time
they
to fight.
allowed to?
Oh, we are allowed to fight them as much as we want.
Oh, okay.
The reason they're delaying their attack is because they want Sidon to.
yeah. Sidon himself would lead them, I guess, or at least support.
Use his magic and power and whatnot.
It would definitely give Mitros a much better chance if we killed him beforehand, and they were forced to either back off or advance without him. Oh boy.
Yeah. Fight for this area. What could go wrong?
The madness weapons are somewhere close. Now the question is, do we need those to fight Lutheria or Sidon, right?
They no, I talked to Vulcan about this. They are very effective against her, which is why she keeps them close, I guess, so that no
Okay.
one can use them.
We can find a way to grab them.
Yeah, we need to get onto her barge without her confronting us and sneak around and like find them and then attack her.
Where's Chandras when you need him?
Eh,
Hit probably on
Yeah.
the barge.
They-
I mean, I wonder if it
wonder
would
if
be better than to ambush, like sort of
Mhm.
lay
Well,
low.
I have locate object, so finding them isn't going to be a problem. It's going to be the sneaking part that's the problem.
I mean, or we do it in the battle, right? Go grab one and then.
I mean, but do you think? I mean, unless she keeps them on her person, I don't see why it wouldn't be better to get them, equip them first. You know?
Sure. I mean, sure. But I can tell the demons probably can't sneak onto the barge.
Yeah.
And we also have the Ultras. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem. I don't know if it's viable.
Plausible. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, we're going into an unknown situation, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. Good. We got a couple days to plan. Might be worth casting locate object on Chandra's spellbook. Maybe he just barge itself.
We couldn't dig it down there.
Yeah. But he's clearly got some way of like, not necessarily needing it every day, because it was in a lockbox, safe from like, and it wasn't on him.
What was in the lockbox?
Strong no mystery.
His spellbook, and he used like Wall of Force and a very powerful spell against Artemisia and Eudora. So if I could get that, I could learn how to do that. And if there's anything else in the lockbox, then that's just a bonus.
Maybe it was confiscated when it was banished. Maybe it was sent with him. We don't know.
Well, it's not in Mitros at all,
Mhm.
especially not the Temple of Utheria. Wasn't in his quarters.
Been on the island. I mean, who knows? It might have been. No.
I'm sure we would have found it on the loot of the elves if the elves had taken it from.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anywhere else it might be except the beach.
Sure. Let's see
Yeah.
what we find when we get there.
Yeah.
But first.
Not that I wouldn't have time to learn anything on it. It would still be cool to find it.
I'm gonna go to bed though, guys. I can feel I'm pretty tired. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
good
you.
night.
for listening. We got
Thanks, guys.
nicely back into it.
Mm.
That was
Yeah.
it was great.
All right.
Yeah.
See you next week then.
Guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Good night.